What's going on, everybody? I'm Kangas. I'll be hosting today's Esports AoE scrim block / in-houses, whatever you want to call them, between 5 amateur players versus 5 amateur players. You know, it's off season. We got to make some content around them. It's my first day on the show, so I'm probably completely whiffing this intro right now. But let's get off of me and into the guest analyst right now. We got Elijah, respected coach in the scene for AoE Esports, also DePaul collegiate coach. Elijah, thanks for coming on the show. How'd they rope you into this one?
Well, someone else quit, and I was all that they had left.
Ah, I like it. I like it. You know what? Hey, it's better to be at least on the backup list. And then somehow making his way on here as well. Probably the most down bad on main on Twitter I've ever seen in my life. Definitely taking the cake there. We got inconspicuous. I always thought you were just Incon because that's your Twitter handle. So apparently I've been calling you the wrong thing this whole time.
So yeah, my Twitter handle, it's because inconspicuous lol is too long. It's like 16 characters and Twitter has 15.
Sure.
So I just made it incon lol and people always told me it was better. So I just went with that. But yeah, no,
it works.
It's nice to be here, and unfortunately I opted into being here. I don't get the excuse that Elijah gets, but we'll have fun hopefully.
You were the first string choice then. All right. Hey, I mean, I guess, yeah, they're just bringing anybody on at this point. But outside of just roasting each other, I'm assuming that we're going to be doing a lot of roasting of players tonight and also just talking about them. I like to roast the players, especially during the off season, because it's all about trying to find a team going into the next season. But let's take a look at who's going to be on the show match today. Elijah, I'll give you this side, blue side of the map. Walk me through these players. What's exciting you about this team?
Well, we've got a couple of people that have showed up in a number of these in-houses. CU's been at 1 or 2. CptShrimps been about 3 at this point. Winter's been like 4 or so. Nice. Easily, I think the most impressive player so far between all the 5 of these has been Winter. Winter is pretty much single-handedly 1v2'd every single lane he's in, regardless of who his lane partner was and regardless of who he's up against. I think it's very obvious Winter's probably one of the best supports going into next PG season. And if he doesn't get picked up, I think it's an absolute shame, regardless of age.
He's been competing for so long. Literally every year I talk to Winter, and every year he's like, "Yeah, this is my last year. You know, if I don't get picked up by a team, that's it." And I think the first time we had the conversation was like in 2019. So he just sticks around. But yeah, I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers, man. He's been grinding out and having consistent results as well throughout the last couple of years. I remember even way back to the Radiance roster back in the day where they were just slamming everybody. Rip Radiance, by the way, but.
Well, they played last year, and they might think return.
Yeah,
so
yeah, they just haven't topped tournaments in a while. They haven't topped tournaments in a while. That's why I meant Rip. They're still with us, though. Inconspicuous, though. Red side. I keep pointing the wrong way. Red side. Walk me through this roster, the key players to highlight.
Yeah, so I think the really obvious answer here is just going to be the mid-jungle. So we talked about Winter on the left-hand side for being the king of amateur, kind of this past split, but it's really hard to ignore 5-Fire in that conversation. Obviously, one of the probably, I would argue, the king of amateur. Whenever he plays, he usually performs and wins, so great player. Chad Jungle, coming at us from 100 Thieves, will have a lot of experience on the amateur and even academy scene, so I really think the power between those two is going to be great. And I hope to see those two really trying to enable the kind of like young bot lane of Minui Breezyy. So I really want to see how mid-jungle can bring in that bot lane. And then Gamsu, he's played a lot of different roles. He's had a lot of games against Surdy in this amateur arena. So I really want to see like what Gamsu ends up playing and how he can understand his role in the game and how his team complements that. So I really think that's what I look forward to on that team.
We got 2 Proving Grounds champs here in Gamsu and Chad. That's pretty exciting that we get to watch 2 of them come back here and compete. But I'm just going to be honest here. Can somebody talk to me about Minui? Who is this player? What's the history of them, and kind of why are we excited about them as a player?
Well, from what I understand, he's a Wildcard Black's AD. Wildcard Black was more of a development team from Wildcard, from what I understand, behind the Wildcard Red roster. They didn't perform too well last split and failed a failure to bring it together, but individually, there's nothing necessarily that wrong with the players. I think Minui, if he puts together, will be able to we'll be able to actually get some stuff done this year. Yeah,
I think really what you want to be looking forward to in Minui is not where he's at right now, but you want to see where he can be at in 2 years. He's a young player who Wildcard picked up, again, on the developmental roster. He was young. I think he's mechanically sound. I think he was really struggling with like overall macro. And like as the game progresses, what he needs to do. I think watching him against Prismal will be very interesting because Prismal is a very staple, very decorated player in North America. So
also making top 3 at Proving Grounds this year. So yeah, he's coming off of a pretty hot split himself. I think the Prismal's honestly going to be looking at LCS offers next year. If I have to think of like the top Academy players that should get picked up by LCS starting positions, I feel like he's got to be towards the top of that list. But yeah, I mean that's a big name for a Minui to go against. Wildcard Black. I think it's funny you say the developmental roster because I remember when they announced this, they were like, "Look, nope, these are the same like tiers of rosters. We don't have a developmental roster in the A team." It's like,
well, you know, we can see through things like that.
Yeah, a little bit. But we are in the pick a ban right now, so I want to bring our attention now to the players and what they're going to be playing here. So, also, I've been just watching Worlds. What patch are we even on right now for League?
We're on live patch, I think.
Okay, so we're on live. All right, cool. Just wanted to make sure. All right. So, yeah, I'm a little behind on my patch notes, so I'm not sure what exactly that means for the meta. Are there any surprising things already here?
I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, there are a couple things. In terms of bans, Yumi won. Lucian, just for Lucian Nami, and also Lucian has been coming out a little bit in houses with Braum and whoever else as well. Tryndamere is also fairly straightforward, and Vex has been having a lot of popularity in houses on top of that.
Do we know what that production? Do we know what that none ban is? The no ban is an actual no ban. Wow.
Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Just egoing. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's in houses. Like, I feel like pick a ban is mostly about like comfort picks or just like the BS stuff in the meta, right?
Yeah, it's mostly to get rid of annoying picks.
So yeah, talking about draft, Graves' first pick. If you've been watching Worlds, you know that's quite the flexible pick. Even it can go, arguably 3 lanes. I would argue 4 lanes if you're super flexible. And then even that, when it goes into a lane, it has a lot of different options. It can go the lethality route if you're not into a super tough matchup, or it can go kind of like the Negan build, as it's coined, with the Immortal Shield bow and whatnot. I don't like the Lee Sin getting picked into it. Lee Sin kind of just enables the Graves.
I'm confused what this third pick is down here, though, over on blue side, because that should have been locked in. I'm not seeing that. I don't know if that's just a.
It's actually another no. It's actually another no pick. They're gonna 4v5 this game.
Yes.
It's a Lux. It looks like it's a Lux.
Interesting. We got a Lux in the in-house. Is that gonna be support or mid?
It's probably going to be mid. I mean, Lux got a little bit of quality of life in the last patch. I believe he got some damage on E and then also some CDR on R. Correct?
Yeah. The really important note on the E buff is Lux fans were complaining that they weren't able to one-shot the caster minions on waves, but with the new E buff, she actually is able to kill those caster minions in just 1 E. So Lux fans were very happy with that, and it kind of increases her presence in the overall meta, but I think getting picked this early is kind of peculiar because now you have Graves, Xayah, Lux into Jinx, Lulu, so like you don't have that much of a threat. So Jinx, Lulu could possibly just kind of take over the game if we don't find a threat on 4-5.
Yeah. I mean, and I think another important thing to again being on patch is the pretty big Jinx buffs that came out and pretty big Xayah buffs that came out. Well, not necessarily big, but a little bit of a Q buff on Xayah. Jinx got E and Q touched on her, I think it was. So it looks like both AD carries are just looking to see what they can do with it.
Yeah. I'm curious what build the Xayah ends up going for. Vygar V2 put out a tweet that he likes playing Xayah in more of like a poke manner, where you just go a cooldown build instead of actually going the traditional like kiteback build. He said that he likes that a lot more, so I'm curious if Prismal will have gotten the data download, or if he just ends up going for the standard Xayah build that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I actually saw that today.
What would your mythic be then? No way, it's Duskblade.
No. You start Essence.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's just Essence Reaver Q poke basically.
Yeah, which I thought was actually super interesting about that is that a couple weeks back someone actually brought that up to Vygar V2 and he was questioning how you're supposed to contest Noonquiver versus Caulfield's or Sheen or anything. So I don't know if the Q buff actually changed that much about it, being able to contest on those item breakpoints. But I'm interested to see if that's what they end up doing.
Yeah, I'm also. This might sound a little troll. I'm surprised we don't see Teemo coming out.
Teemo is so broken.
He got those buffs, right?
Yeah,
Teemo is so strong.
I think Teemo is unironically like a perfectly fine follow on Graves in lane. Graves literally cannot play the game. I don't know if you saw the video where Graves is just blinded, firing randomly. He turns into like a little rotating tower and has no idea where he's aiming at. But Teemo is a really good counter to Graves. I think seeing it not picked is interesting, but obviously a lot of these players have time to play on the patch, so that could possibly be why.
Yeah, and you already have the Jinx Lulu. Like, what is a Teemo supposed to do to help out the team identity that they're already drafting for? Because it looks like team fight. When I look at Jinx Lulu, I'm like, I feel like they're gonna try to go for these objective controls, get the Jinx into the fights. Teemo doesn't really help that. Nard does. Nard can be a frontline. He can conditionally start those fights for you.
Yeah, but sorry, Elijah, go.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Teemo doesn't necessarily need to be a frontline, be a force for that. You have Lee Sin for that, right? What all Teemo realistically needs to do is just be a blind bot.
Kind of, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he's also just kind of a menace where if your team ever gets set up on an objective, then it's really hard for the enemy team to come into. The one thing that's kind of concerning for me, so obviously Gnar has kind of an interaction with Azir where he can ult them into the Azir wall, but you know, you're talking about a front line to try and enable the Jinx to play. Lee Sin, Gnar aren't the most reliable frontline champions. So they kind of had to go into disengage, so they were hovering the Kassadin. I'm very happy they didn't pick it. The Azir is at least a way for them to disengage off if the enemy team does find engage, considering that their front line is kind of lacking. So, sorry, so apparently his name is Minui, by the way. But
Minui, okay.
Minui's positioning will be super important to his team's success, and it's super interesting putting a new young player in such a pivotal role as they are, so I really hope to see him perform this game, and it, in my opinion, be a very good showing, but a lot of onus on him to perform with the comp.
Yeah, exactly. They're relying on him to do a lot of this damage during these fights, whereas the blue team, I feel like it's a little scrappier. Like, they can activate their composition a little bit earlier, and actually, whether they want to early stack dragons or ideally probably play through this Graves in the top lane, get those heralds, and just take an early turret quick.
Yeah, I'm an early tower hater personally in the side lane. So if you've been watching a lot of these games recently, teams will herald and then they'll just vacate the lane. And there's been so many times for a team to just freeze and just completely choke out the enemy team. So it's like sometimes this injection of early gold into a team is actually offset by the next like 3 minutes of if a team just freezes on them.
Yeah.
So,
well, it depends on how you want to play into that freeze. Because if you have a Lux and with the changes she can push a wave, maybe you just say, look, let's dive bomb tier 2 turret at that point. Like, if they're trying to freeze on us, let's just keep playing into that. And that's something that, like, I hate it when teams don't do that. Like, they will just, like, let the freeze happen and they don't do anything to break it. But, I mean, in houses, you know, you can play a little more loose. You know, there's not a lot on the line. You know, just go for it.
Yeah.
You gotta save bot lane.
Yeah, I think that's the thing here, right? Is that you just want to see players perform and compete, right? That's what this is for. Show scouts, show people what you're capable of, and give them a good showing.
So we do have a 3-minute delay that we'll be coming into here now that we've finished the client lock-in. So let's give our final thoughts on the drafts and the compositions before we pass it to the break, because then the casters will actually pick it up to going into the game itself. Elijah, I'm going to give this one to you first. Kind of just general thoughts of what the teams are trying to do, what their identities are, and then also which one you're favoring based on the meta, based on the players, whatever your thoughts are.
Well, if we're going strictly based off players, I'd probably favor red side. Going based off composition, I think it's pretty even. Both teams have ways that they can actually play to win. Lee Sin doesn't have a ton of great lanes to play around, which kind of sucks for him, but other than that, I think their actual solo lanes are in okay spots. I mean, Graves will have a little bit of advantage over Gnar. Lux can consistently threaten one-shot against Azir, but as long as Azir is playing generally human, you should be able to just kind of get a little bit of free scaling into mid to late. And then Jinx Lulu just going to kind of look to ignore Xayah Rakan as much as possible and just have Rakan move out of lane, look to affect his other lanes.
All right, Inconspicuous, gonna send it back to you. First of all, do you agree with what was said? Because I love when I can get the analysts to fight each other live on broadcast. And second of all, if it's all correct, then kind of what are your thoughts on just the matchup, where we expect early action to be, etc.
So it's really tough to say, right? Because obviously Graves doesn't have the most gank setup on Gnar. And I do agree with the point that Elijah brought up, where he said that Lee Sin will struggle to find a lane to play for in the early game. But that's not too much of a big deal, because red team does have like the scale advantage, kind of, in a weird way. So scaling is relative, right? It's always dependent on, you know, who you're playing and what your team is. But Jinx Lulu will scale really well, and they have disengaged tools with like the Azir Lee Sin, so their comp is going to scale well against the enemy blue team. The only problem is, if Graves ends up speccing for a lethality build, and then you have Lux, if anyone gets caught on that red side team, and you just have lethality Graves come on top of you, you have the Lux come on top of you, a fight can be swayed very quickly. So there's a lot of ways for red team to lose, even though their comp looks pretty okay.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for a Lux to lock down, like you're saying, in Azir if they're playing safe, Lee Sin with mobility, Jinx with a Lulu behind him. But yeah, if that binding lands, that's just going to be a dead champ. So, all right, cool. Well, hey, I mean, I like that we at least get two different styles, right? Like, we have this kind of traditional, more scale, let our lanes play at the laning phase, get to the team fight, versus this potential to just start blowing you out right away. It'll be fun to see how the players want to adapt to it. But we're going to set it to a short break right here, and then the casters are going to pick it up. We got Zephyr and Go for Reno on the other side of this. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Esports AOE's Amateur Arena here, and we're bringing you a great matchup between Team Prismal and Team Minui. I'm your play-by-play caster for the night, Zephyr, joined, of course, by the lovely Color Goferino.
I've been told I'm lovely.
By me.
I've been told that I am dashing and handsome. These are all things I tend to say to myself. It makes me feel better sometimes.
Good. We like a little bit of self-confidence here on the cast now. And you know what? Hopefully, as we work our way through, I'll be able to provide as much as possible here. But past our love for ourselves and Goferino especially, we've got two excellent compositions that have been worked out by our lovely analyst desk here. And now you're going to hear a little bit of our take on that.
And I do like, from the side of Team Minui, we see this early ward, based onto this red buff, scout out where this Xin Zhao for eXyu is going, because we all know Xin Zhao loves to go for those early ganks. He's that early skirmisher. Knowing where this Xin Zhao is always helps you immensely in the early game. It can help Minui, it can help Fire. They're two hyperscaling carries. Just avoid any sort of potential pressure, or know it might be coming their way, Zephyr.
Right. A little bit of that extra information early can definitely pay out in the long run here, and early is definitely something I want to take a look at, especially here on the top side when we look towards Gamsu and Dragoon. We had a little bit of a discussion regarding that Graves having a bit of advantage, but I wanted to tack this one on here because I feel it's very important. We have seen recently in our AoE arenas Gamsu play the Gnar into the Graves, and he has performed quite well. He doesn't, exude the extreme pressure on this top side, but he is able to keep the lane in a good state that puts him in a place where he's in the right spot to be that trigger later on.
Yeah, that's always a big thing here when we are talking about the Graves. The analyst desk, inconspicuous or incon whichever way you want to call him. He swings both ways. Either way, though, the lethality Graves might be a thing this game. Could be really big because you combine that burst with a potential Lux Final Spark and happen to kill a Minui, happen to kill Fire. That makes the potential superstar late game hyper carry not really be able to do too much of that late game hyper carrying because they might be in that gray school.
Ooh. A little bit of great entrance and a pick maybe to be found there. A bit of the flash into the heel and a first blood quickly picked up here. Now getting a little bit of some death from the Beyond there, and it's a spooky month, so you know what? Keeping those dead bodies alive on screen, it just contributes to those emotions.
And that was just a pure 2 versus 2 kill there, which is not something you typically see in the bot lane. Yes, it is the lovers duo here. It's not something you typically see in the bot lane when Xayah is present, due to her not being like as powerful of an all-inner early compared to some of the power picks we've seen earlier this season, like the Lucian, like the Varus, yada yada yada. But putting this hyper carry Jinx on the back foot here, that is always going to bode extremely well for you. Yeah, extremely well for you, Zephyr.
Right.
First cast of the night, so words are a little fun.
No worries. We'll work out those kinks. And speaking of working out those kinks, the mistakes that are beheld here by Minui might not be there for long. CptShrimps caught out a good Sonic Wave, and it's Chad with a pickup there on the Lee Sin. He actually came around all the way on the back one to secure that.
And I like that pincer movement as well. Just take away any sort of escape, any sort of reprisal that CptShrimps might have as this Lux. Even still has a flash up recognizing, yeah, I'm probably done here on this one. eXyu is looking the top lane. No stun available for Spurge, so just gonna force out a flash before I can hand this one off to you.
No worries there. Finding that flash is definitely important, though, especially since there is a lot of pressure that they could capitalize on here if eXyu makes a return at any given point. But looking back towards some of these other lanes, look at the Prio here, still in heavy advantage as you see this wave begin to crash under turret here from bot, and it just goes to show a little bit of that advantage they've been able to work out. But now Chad a return in the mid lane, and the flash finally forced out here.
Gonna be handy. Maybe not. We have to look for the resonating strike. The flash.
Oh,
yep.
no.
Oh.
Yeah, one more back to find. So they kept that one running down.
It did cost the flash of Chad. However, though, putting this Lux 6 feet under, figuratively and literally now, that's gonna bode pretty well here. There's the bop up.
little bit to be found, but no, just the trade. Nothing too crazy. Not going to see a little bit more of the T-posing here back on the Rift just quite yet, but maybe sometime soon. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised how much priority here has been worked out by Prismal and the like.
That just kind of speaks to the power of the Lovers duo here in the bot lane. Might see a little bit more of that power on display with eXyu here. There's a Chad in the area.
Ooh. A bit of dive in the backhand, just cutting around here to the end. Looking like eXyu is spotted out though, of course, and Chad gonna do a good job to prevent him from going any much deeper there. And he's on the back end. Fire with a quick Emperor's Divide. Actually pushes him back over the wall, but Chad there gonna be able to catch this one out and secure another kill here for the side of the Minui.
And that's scary because Lee Sin can snowball. Gamsu is about to hit the Mega Gnar here. Does have the Gnar. There's a wall.
Could easily slam this one down here, just waiting for that transformation. Mind you, he does have that Gnar. Doesn't quite find the stun, but is able to pick it up on the back there. Gonna get the reset on that boulder. See if he can maybe find the toss. He does! Once again, keeps this one rolling. That's finally the flash there out of Dragoon.
And even though we're only 6 minutes and 43 seconds into the game here, Zephyr, like, there has been action all across the board. But so far, the kill's going in the favor of Team Minui, the team that we have been calling the more hyper-scaling team composition here. Yes, all 3 kills have been going to this Lee Sin for Chad, but he can use that to help out his lanes, get them ahead. eXyu is going to be in danger here.
Oh, no. He gets that little bit of smite, maybe puts himself back up in a good spot for the heal, but it doesn't matter. Dragon's still secured, and now this bot lane might just be next there. I like the zap to step up from Minui, and you've got the Sonic Wave if he wants to go deep, and he does! A big kick into the Dragon's Rage, but it's gonna be, no! Not at the expense of his life. Zap is to follow, but no kill as well. Now Gamsu back up in the top side, making short work of Dragoon here. He's gonna work his way under turret, and sadly, no death to behold here, but the Minui squad just wiping floors here across the board.
And we saw eXyu there trying to grab that dragon. However, it was spotted out. And even more kills going over to the side of Team Minui here. They're now very firmly in the lead in kills, in gold, in dragons. Everything seems to be going their way here, Zephyr, except for that one pesky death.
Yeah, one particular kill being the only thing that stands out here. The rest of the Minui, though, finally looking a little bit more in their stride here. You pointed out that most of those kills currently reside on Chad, but finally we did see the one work its way over, of course, to the namesake Minui here. So finally, the scaling potential starting to come alive here. There's definitely a lot of time on the board though here if we want to see some return action, especially out of eXyu if he starts approaching some of these lanes. But I'll be honest, it's getting tougher as these champs continue to scale up. You're not going to have that much kill priority.
Yeah, this is just one of the sad realities of this game right now if you have to be on the side of Team Prismal.
Oh, for now here, nothing too crazy, just some standard resets across the board. Nothing, actually, it's going to be a bit of a leap there. He does find a bit of that stun on the back end. It's going to go mini as the collateral damage is going to strike back, so no kill here. But now, jungle for jungle. It's a good steal from the Prismal squad, but they're going to make sure that it is punished as a result. Either way, though, they still drop that one down. Now, they are able to secure the Rift. My apologies there.
It is a very costly Rift, however, though, you can reason, yes, it is a 0-2, well, now 0-3 Shinzao. Not the most high-value kill to be picking up, but another kill going over to Chad, who's just snowball basically out of control at this point. Zephyr should have the Mythic on this back to really just go to town across the Rift. Like, what are you gonna do when the super fed Chad flies into your lane, kicks you in the face, and you're like, ow, that hurts a lot. And it's kind of backed up by that fully completed Mythic, the probably stacked up Conqueror. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah, you are definitely right there. It's going to chunk, and it has been the major key here that has kind of brought Minui back into a good place, because I'll be honest, you do see the strength of someone like Prismal in this bot lane alongside Winter, and the going rate of how they were actually able to control this one out for some time here now. That eventually kind of worked its way. We saw it ebb and flow. Now Minui is back in a better position here, but even just those little moments before you had that jungle tango were definitely looking dire.
Yeah, and Team Prismal, like, they're really going to have to get something done with this Herald. Lights are still up. If you're able to get a kill, translate that into a first tower, that will basically swing the gold back in this game too. About even. eXyu in a bit of danger here. There's
more than just a bit of danger there. And actually, we take our attention back to the top side. It's not eXyu who might be facing death. It's looking like Dragoon. Remember that boulder's just one away, but now into the pit, back towards river. Chatty went deep, might be punished, forced to flash. Gonna dodge out the big blast there provided by Lux, and no kills, but a whole lot of windows expended.
How is nobody dead, Zephyr?
No one dies.
It looked like at least 3 or 4 people were about to die there during the course of that fight, but nobody did. Praise Piabon Jesus for saving us all. eXyu, though, might not be too safe here.
No, he's already expended that flash just a moment's notice ago, so he's down, and now Gamsu under turret with a quick flash to make it 2 here on the board. Potentially more. Breezyy with the wild growth. That entrance gonna knock him back, take him low. A bit of a dodge, a feather storm here, but Minui is pumping the damage. 1 quick 3, 2. Chad with 1, now more. 4 kills here for the Minui side.
Oh no, and now there's 3 kills on this Jinx as well, working towards their mythic as well. A lot of plates to be picked up here, a lot of gold that was just picked up as well, Zephyr. Like, it's 12 minutes in, but we can call this dire straits. I think you already said that a few minutes ago, but this is dire straits. Dire? That sounds weird.
Yeah, it's a little bit funky, but either way, you're on the right track here. It's not looking good. If you're the Prismal side, most of your win con, which revolved around maybe finding those exclusive picks or putting your notable carries in a great spot. We talked about Dragoon or maybe CptShrimps much earlier on. Didn't really come through here. So that lockdown, that burst, unavailable.
Yeah, there's just not enough burst online right now. Granted, CptShrimps might have some definite popping power, we just really haven't seen it yet. The 2 Fundle Sparks we have seen have kind of been a misses, whiffs.
So that's a fancy way to say that, but yeah.
They're, it's when you do the football and score a touchdown, but it's only 6 points, because he somehow missed it. Okay.
What?
It's not that.
Hold on. If we're making the touchdown, that's at least coming through there. If we're going to make some football references, at least bring it back to a fumble.
Okay. Hut 1, hut 2.
2. All right.
I think it's... No, it wasn't Cardi B. I forget who rapped that. I don't think I can say it on stream.
I've got plenty of knowledge about League Go Farina, but none about Cardi B. Ooh. A little bit of a tough end on that flash, a pull in the back, but either way, it is a secured kill there, and it goes to prove the point there that CptShrimps has plenty of burst available here, just wasn't quite initiating on it for the time being, but finally, he does get that return live fire.
And that's actually first tower in the bot lane as well. Will help with his gold lead a good bit. I don't think Dragoon's gonna have the schmoves here. There's a couple people.
It'll be tough for him on that back end, especially as Chad comes through, but you gotta cry here if you're Dragoon, because not a single ability to lock you down really hit out there from Gamsu, but even still, you had no hope.
I mean, it's a 6-0 and 3 Lee Sin landing Q on you and then kicking you. You're like, I think I will accept my fate here. I tried my darndest. But surprisingly enough, because I thought the Gnar wouldn't have the best kill threat in this lane. Yes, you would be able to have some when you are Mega, but Gamsu just more or less every time that bar fills up, more than happy to just hop on in and try and pop a... Can we say bitch on stream? I just did, so I guess there's that.
Either way, yes, Gamsu, adequate, performs much better than expected into this matchup. And I told you before walking into this one, we've seen it time and time again actually here at the amateur arena. So not too surprising. But for now, a fight to break out. River, you get a bit of the knock-up off that wild growth, and the follow-up from Gamsu as he goes deep isn't mega, but he finally secures it. A massive triple gnar into the wall. Now Chad to follow up deep. He goes on to eXyu. He gets the knock-up back, but there's the binding to take him low. Meanwhile, on the other end of the field, Firefire and the rest, they clean up the likes there of both. I believe that was, Dragoon.
Wow. Dragoon actually with a huge flank there, able to get that shut down onto Minui's Jinx, as this Graves who was put on the back foot, as one could say in a very light terminology. And despite the super huge deficit, it was 1-10 just a bit ago. It's now 5-14. You've been at least trading 1-for-1 in the kills department here, Zephyr, which is great when you're a team that's behind. You do, of course, want a bit more, but it's better than just absolutely falling flat on your face, and there might be a little bit of life left here in this Prismal comp. Let's see what they're able to do with the Vital Sparks available.
That's what they're able to do with it. One quick lockdown there to lack of respect. I'm not quite sure. Did he have vision on that area? I don't believe so.
I mean, the Lux Lucid Singularity E does give you vision, so probably at least saw that. I was like, okay, I can go for this. You do have a dragon spawning up in 40 seconds. Already 2 for the side of Team Minui. Gonna be happy about that. This would put them on that soul point. They don't completely need it, especially with these early dragons, especially with their scaling advantage like the desk and us have pointed out here, Zephyr. But you wouldn't argue against a free dragon if you're able to get your hands on it.
No, I definitely would not. Good dragons on the board. Definitely any team wants to contest for here. You see the vision return finally coming out here from the side of the Minui. And right there, they still don't have advantage of blue. So one quick knock up, one quick charm. I like the Emperor's Divide as he finds the drag back into turret safety there. But those are 2 huge windows gone now in terms of this bot lane for engage. And with Dragon now being up, you can't play around those.
And that's absolutely massive as well, because Prismal did commit the flash. There's the resonating strike. This is a Mega Gnar TPing for Gamsu. Look at the bar, because it is ticking down about 25%. You're gonna have to use this very quick if you are gonna use it. Won't be able to get it. There's the mini Gnar, but they're already in the pit here. Zephyr should have prio over this dragon. Not if Prismal's team has anything to say about it, though. There's some love in the air, I feel.
No, they forced their way in here. You got a bit of the shockwave from the deep back end as, yes, Chad still secures it, but he's going to be rooted in as a result there. Finally taken out. No, it's a wild growth to maybe save that one. Finally, that shutdown did eventually come through, but the dragon was, of course, secured, bringing them up to soul point. Either way, though, Chad is dead here. And if you want to go for objectives, now's your best bet.
Yep, there is a Herald on the board. We already see eXyu walking up to that. More than capable of soloing that objective on down.
Turret 2. That's easy. I mean, you have to remember that Chad's sitting 9-2 right now. He is the big one to fear. Ooh, super mega death rocket not quite landing, but maybe Gamsu can make up for this one. A boulder, a toss, an auto or 2. He keeps the chase unsued. But still, Dragoon walks out alive. Meanwhile, Minui keeping things spicy in the mid lane as you see the result there of Prismal already. Oh, wow. And Firefire already on the back end to punish out eXyu. And he steals it, too. He finds it.
That's gotta feel so terrible. Because you're not able to get any objectives off the back of that. You're not able to get
turret, nothing.
You're not able to get the Herald. This is just feels bad, man, across the board if we're gonna reference popular Twitch emoji terminology here, Zephyr. You don't want to be in a feels bad man situation. I know that's a very general statement, but it kind of rings true right now.
Either way here, they continue their assault with another turret to now really open up this map wide. And you see the extent here. And it's crazy how close this gold leads, but the picture that has been painted is something completely different. Yeah, we've seen a little bit of burst out of some of the likes here of CptShrimps, but the control lane to lane is no comparison.
And Chad has definitely been a very key focal point so far for Team Minui. We're talking about how you can use these early jungle scrummers for champions like the Shinzao, like the Lee Sin, to be ways of generating leads for yourself or your lanes to carry that into the late game. I'm trying to think. There was like a terminology, a buzzword used for it that analysts hate when casters say. I can't quite remember it right now. Either way, though, that's what Chad has been able to do for his team. Able to be such a threat as this 2-item Lee Sin on the front line. Able to just threaten the back line here. Be a pick machine himself against this heavy pick team. But then also, we've seen the love spread to the Jinx, to the Zir, with some kills of their own, looking very strong. That is going to be a menace here in these 5 versus 5s that we've been kind of looking forward to. Okay.
You know, and to play off of one real quick point there from Chad, we had a lot of questions coming into this game. What was going to be your engagement? So obviously you've got Gamsu sitting on that Gnar, but remember, that's building up the rage, playing around that very choice moment where you get to really go deep and actually find the picks you want. Lee Sin was also a question up on the board because in most cases, especially with the burst that was going to be available here for the side of the Prismal squad, he goes deep, but he's already gone in a second flat. Maybe he finds that one Dragon's Rage, but it's the 1-for-1 and then done. For now, though, they can't really have the damage.
Know about Chad?
No, they don't. Fire's still up, though. Oh, Winter's going to come through with the quickness. Maybe catch this one out. Nope, it's a Dragon's Rage. He throws down that ultimate, but it may be at the expense of his life. Winter can't find the Grand Flash from eXyu. Goes deep there, and it's going to be that final dash, as now Chad's going to keep the fight rolling here. Blue Feather's done. eXyu secures the 1. Oh, maybe 2. It's the Lux. One more blind final spark there.
Let's go, Comet Gaming. Like, there are so few times in League where Arcane Comet actually picks up a kill, but when it does, it's always a cheat to look at because it's like, look when they die. And that's some really big kills to pick up here just before the Dragon, but also Baron's on the board. We already see Dragoon on top of this. They do have the mana advantage. Chad is just spawning back right now, Zephyr. I don't know if he'll be able to get here in time for this Baron with fast it seems to be going.
Definitely pressuring this one out already. You see them walking into the pit. They're willing to take this fight at any point. Winter trying to find it, but yeah, like you said, that rage is available at any given point there. Finds that one on the back end, but it's another final spark there. This time catching out Gamsu in half of Fire. Minui's on the forward end here, maybe looking for a bit more as they keep the bars as low as possible. Either way, the 50-50 can't really come through. The Baron has been pulled off of, and Dragon, now the major point to look at. You already see the teleport being expended on the bot end to prevent this one.
Prismal.
Ooh.
Prismal, baby. What are you doing?
Not much there. Featherstorm's already out. Now Dragoon and Chad. Do-si-do, toe for toe, little bit of square dancing here around the mountain. Drake, a big flash though, over the wall. That's a beauty there. Winter deep, but already gone. Now back on the Dragon for unsecured soul. Now the root on eXyu. He wants to find a little bit of Breezyy, but there's no wind in his sails. Fire to secure one more, and now it's Gamsu on the back end. Prismal, the name himself. Let's see if he can make it the A's, the boomerang, the flash over the wall, and all 5 members down here.
Oh, and if we take out the fact that Gamsu died at that Baron pickoff before this fight, and there were those 2 kills before that led to that Baron, and this whole extended sequence, that's a roller coaster of emotions here. A clean 5-0 in the favor of Team Minui. Chad just able to go beast mode, 1 versus 1. Turns out the 1-4 Graves has a little bit of trouble standing up to a 10-3 Lee Sin. That's gonna give him the Mountain Soul, which is gonna be so crucial against this sort of pick comp here, Zephyr, because that extra little bit of resistance, is the extra shield to help you with any burst coming your way, is gonna just be that much more handy for keeping your carries alive. Now you have the Baron. Now you're once again at this massive AK gold lead, and you can look to really just break the kneecaps of Team Prismal here.
Yeah, the kneecaps may already be broken. They could be already down on the curb, a teeth smash away from no records to be found here for the side of Prismal. But I don't want to count them out just yet. We got a little bit of a taste of some of that burst there, especially notably out of CptShrimps. You saw what that final spark was able to do when it managed to land at just the right moment. We still have not seen the exclusive win condition of this squad really come out alive, and it's due to the fact that Chad has just run train here on this entire game through and through to being such an aggressor. Now, at this point, it may be too far gone here, but I still, like I said, hold out hope for one of those choice moments where they do find the lockdown and can rip someone to shreds. Maybe not that.
Meganar.
Yeah.
You don't catch out a Meganar usually.
Well, not that one. Different. Choose a different one. My point works a little bit better on the other end of that.
Yeah, if it's a Mini-Nar, yeah, sure. Of course, so, like you said, not completely out. There is a chance. All it takes is CptShrimp landing a very clutch binding into a very clutch ulti to just annihilate someone, annihilate a full, just delete them off the map. That won't be the case right here, right now, but look for it. Could be any one of these. Could be the next one.
They gotta make a move. If they don't, it's just one quick walk. Minui's just gonna wipe this base. They take what is the top side, inhib down. They're gonna clear out that mid and just keep the rush aboard.
Yeah. Even dropping the Azir turret there, just as a... Yeah, you aren't gonna counter push against us, Buckaroo. We still got Baron buff. Oh, okay, that should be a kill.
It's not though. One wild growth still keeps Minui alive on just barely an ounce of health there, and everything drawn out ends up in a kill, actually going the opposite way. So now 4v5, maybe 4v4 here if we take into account Minui's looking low. This might be their best bet yet. They go deep. The quickness though can't find anyone. Meanwhile, you're losing your bot side.
Oh, and that mountain soul is coming up big there because that was like 10 or 50 health.
Oh, yeah.
Had there not been a mountain shield, had there not been mountain resist, maybe you get that. But that is not the world we live in. There's a open nexus or open inhib here in the bot lane. One in the mid lane to follow soon. And don't forget, there's already super crashing in the top lane here, Zephyr.
Oh. Either way, like I said, they tried to find that mark to pull the trigger, and at this point, it may and is just too late. Not for long there, Gofrino. It's already down, and with all three inhibs lost to the face here of Minui, they just have to keep working this one out. One more auto, another to be found. A deep dive from Gamsu. He is rooted and burst to a pulp there, but it's at the cost of 2 as well. A big Everest divide for maybe 3 more into a Nexus wipe here, as I'll tell you what, Minui, they make it look easy.
Yeah, Chad Jungle living up to the name here and being an absolute Chad, carrying his team through that early game. Oh, Plan just notified me I completed Worlds 2021 mission. Thank you for the 25 tokens. But Chad Jungle just really showing up here, showing why he was considered one of the most improved players of the last amateur split here, Zephyr, and really just taking over the game on one of his signature champs.
Oh, absolutely. We got a big shock out of the Lee Sin qualification here, as, to be honest, there was not a lot you could do at the point when you're coming into what is like a 5-1 Lee Sin already on the board there at what is 5-10 minutes. He is your pick and engage tool. He was a question on the board as we came out of draft that was quickly answered here by the prowess of Chat. And I don't want to just leave just him there. You talk about Gamsu, you look towards this mid lane through 5-Fire. Consistency, taking out and making sure that these carries between Lux and Graves never got to the potential where they actually could really do something into a matchup that was not always a given.
Yeah, and really just good showings across the board here from team, and we all just doing the micro play across the map really extremely well. Aside from the first turret and the first Rift Herald, I believe they got every single major objective that game, if I'm not mistaken, Zephyr, and that's some pretty strong teamwork here.
So, well, okay, teamwork on the board, we can praise them, albeit, but there's still 2 games to go through here. So I'm going to ask you, maybe a little bit of an analyst, what do they got to change? Where did the bleed start, and where do they prevent it and lead to what is not a hemorrhage?
A lot of it just kind of started in the early game, letting Chad just kind of super snowball on the Lee Sin, and eXyu just kind of fell way too far behind. We can look at the final scoreboard of the game here, only sitting on the Gore Drinker and some components towards that Sterix. Like, that is a Xin Zhao who was just down bad, man. 3-9-2, really rough showing. I mean, after a certain point, it's like, what can you do with Xin Zhao? You have to go in, and you're probably going to die when you're this far behind. But probably limit Chad in the early game, make sure eXyu doesn't fall this far behind, and then you might be able to look to transition that into some of the lanes.
Well, that's definitely a start for there. Personally, if it's my opinion, I'd like to see a bit more of a take expended towards Prismal there in that bot lane, because I will say for the slightest of moments in those first 5 minutes, there was that advantage. We saw that solo kill onto that Jinx, that experience that was available to potentially capitalize on, but never did we really get the opportunity to see eXyu or anyone to like combine and find their way in the bot to make a good use of that advantage. So maybe coming to game 2, maybe a different draft in terms of the comp to give them kind of that takeaway could be something good to look at. As for us, though, here on the desk, we're going to be tossing this one back to Kangas, Inconspicuous, and Elijah as they give their own opinions on where this one maybe went wrong.
All right. Thank you, Zephyr. Thank you, Gofrino, as well. Great cast for that game number 1. Wow, that did not go how we expected, everybody. Elijah, I believe it was you who at one point in the game said it's not a good idea, it's not a good look when the team that scales is about 2,000 ahead with multiple kills. So what happened in the early game that got the red side such a big lead?
Unfortunately, it was Secret Agent Incon and Dragoon playing for the other team. I mean, it's hard to dig yourself out of a hole like that when you're supposed to be playing for the early game, and you decide you just want to give away that much lane pressure and just kind of kills around mid jungle that early.
And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I came onto this broadcast. I was gonna try and be professional. I was gonna try and wear some nice clothes. But if Chad Jungle's able to flex that hard, god damn it, he's not gonna be the only one on this broadcast. Because Inconspicuous, Chad was freaking insane. He could be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, Chad kind of ran a train on the enemy team, eh? But I mean, like it was very controlled in the manner he did it. He went to the mid lane on Lux, blew her flash, then returned mid lane very promptly, got another kill pre-6 before the cooldown started coming in for Lux, and just found his window and abused it mid lane. Then they're like, okay, all right, we got our mid lane ahead. What can we do? And they're like, all right, look at that bot lane. That looks like a pretty good place to go. And like, oh, we should go and kill them a few times. And then what did they do? They did just that. I was very happy because I said, right, what does red team want to do? They need to play mid jungle 2v2. Wasn't much of a 2v2, was more of a 2v1. And then they just went and took that bot. It's exactly what they needed to do and exactly what they did. And I think that's where you see a good game plan come in and just win the game.
All right, but I want us to look at it from a very critical lens here, because the amateur arena, the whole point is it's the off season. This is where players can develop skills, develop game sense, shot calling, all the things that they want to work on while they're trying to get a team going into the next year's season. So Elijah, I'm going to send it back to you. How would you rate the early game into mid game into late game transition periods? Because we were seeing maybe a couple hiccups along the way.
Yeah, this is something I mentioned when we were having our conversation during the game. I feel like Fire and Fire specifically kind of flubbed the early to mid game transition. They were in a pretty big lead. They decided they wanted to kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit. They're up like 14-1 or something, and they end up just getting picked over and over and over again. But on the other hand, you can say that was red side throwing or was blue side finding good looks, right? Because Winter and CptShrimps, I think, actually found a lot of very good points where Fire was slacking, where they ended up actually getting kills that should never exist in the first place.
Yeah.
Inconspicuous, anything to add on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk more about the early game. So obviously we highlighted that Minui, got killed in the early game in the bot jungle. But if you look at the context around why he died, he was really just trying to fight to get that third wave in, and blue team was fighting to try and prevent that third wave to crash. He successfully ended up getting the wave to crash, so even though he died, Xayah wasn't able to back on good timer and really, get the item advantage. She had to stay and try and push it out. And by the time Jinx was back to lane, Wave was in the exact spot that she wanted it to be at. So it's one of those where it's like, someone can say, oh, someone's, dying early isn't good, but it's one of those where, again, we highlighted Minui, said he's a young player. A young player that's showing that kind of like thought process is a very good thing to look at, and you're very happy. And it's like, even though you died, your thought process was great. Just execution was maybe not the most perfect, but it's okay. You can always improve that. So I think that was a very cool thing to see, and I hope we keep seeing players like that make just smart, intelligent decisions with waves, even if it results in what appears to what people would call an int, when in reality it's really just playing for the wave strategically.
I'm happy you mentioned Minui, because that was one of the players that, like, I don't know a lot about this player going into it. I watched a lot of the tier 1s, Proving Grounds, Academy, but I never really got to see a lot of Minui play. So Elijah, I'm going to give this one back to you. How do we kind of rate the performance? I mean, the laning phase, yeah, Inconspicuous was talking about the decision making there, but the whole draft was kind of built around this Jinx to begin with.
Yeah. So while I don't think he necessarily played insane or anything, the main thing is that he did his job, right? He knew his place in the comp. Sure. He did what he was supposed to do. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And you see him on something a little bit more aggressive, something maybe he gets a chance to play the Lucian, maybe he gets a chance to play a more played 2MF lane, see if he can do a little bit more with it. But other than that, when you're playing Jinx, you're playing with Lulu, your hand's kind of held a little bit. All you have to do is just right click and position well, and he did that. He did his job.
Hey, did get the Gale Force. Sometimes you got a Gale Force away from the Rakan too. We're looking at a lot of the builds. There were a lot of interesting stuff going on there, though. The Black Cleaver on the Gnar as well. Let's talk about the top lane matchup too, because that did not go the way that we expected it to. And Conspicuous, I'm going to give that one to you first. Dragoon struggling on the Graves.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a tough matchup in general. I mean, Graves is ranged, but it's realistically like melee into even like semi-ranged matchup, we'll call it, because obviously Gnar mini and whatnot. But a lot of the transition points when Gnar had windows to try and abuse the Graves, i.e., when Gnar hit 6 before Graves hit 6 on that kind of window, Gamsu was able to punish Dragoon, not like slacking a little bit, and found opportunities to either chunk him out or just get a kill on him. So I think it was just lack of matchup awareness from Dragoon on the Graves into Gnar. And then with that said, the Graves has to do some very specific itemization choices where he has to go into the Negan build where you have to get Immortal Shield Bow. So you're not really getting like a lot of HP onto the Graves. You have to go like lifesteal, attack damage, crit chance, and whatnot. So you're itemizing in a manner that isn't going to help you survive lane. So that's why, like, after you falter once, you're going to continue faltering. So it's really important that you play that first 6 levels almost perfect, because otherwise the rest of the game is going to be made very difficult for you. With that said, I know Dragoon is comfortable on champions like Gangplank and whatnot, so I hope to see that come through. And I guess to talk about next game, right? I hope to see a more conscious effort of what the Dragoon team wants to do. Where Dragoon is a very good weak side player, you have a very experienced ADC player in Prismal and Winter. Why doesn't it just make more sense to try and play for that bot lane when you have such a good weak side player in the top lane, right? I hope to see more of that direction come through. Maybe Red Team can get a more advantageous mid jungle 2v2 to contest that of what we saw from Fire last game. But we'll have to see, right? We won't know until the draft.
You mentioned one thing about the build there, having to go the more kind of drain tankish Graves build rather than that lethality that we were like, hey, the lethality Graves plus the Lux, that's a lot of burst potential if you find one member out. But the Lux did find a couple of picks, so I'm here. We're getting ready for pick and ban. Elijah, I'm going to send this one to you. Thoughts on the Lux? Do we like her? Do we think that it was worth it? Should either of these teams run it back? Does it actually have a spot in the meta?
Yeah, I personally love Lux when she's able to be played. Incon hates it. I like it. I think it's fun. I like the idea that you make one mistake and essentially just get fully one shot. I think that should be in the game actually. Because if you can get through lane with Lux, I actually think that she's really a great champion to have on your side. She creates so much space with E and Q and with constant one shot potential. And I'm looking forward to seeing if she stays in meta for next season. And if she does, it's gonna be great.
So I said I don't like Lux because she's non-interactive. Okay. It's a champion that can just push the wave and smile. No one likes a champion that does that. A whole lot of nothingness. It's boring. No one likes to see that.
But you have so many skins to select, Incon. I mean, come on. Like that's the whole draw of the champion, right?
Yeah. It won't surprise me if she has a new skin coming out maybe in 2 weeks or something. Riot usually controls their balance schedule around skin releases, so
true.
It'll be cool to see. It'll be cool to see the 4th legendary Lux skin.
I mean, in general.
It'll be at least like right before the season starts, because then we know that they're gonna have to buffer up for that. But we are to pick a ban here for game number 2. So it looks like we have the same sides, although it is changing right now. Now we got Minui, Prismal all together. All right, we'll figure out who's on which side right now afterwards. But
yeah, you could figure out who's on what side, because 5 player is a very good Twisted Fate player, so it makes sense to ban Twisted Fate on blue side, because that way they don't get Twisted Fate when you get counter picks. So.
But currently, it is Minui on the blue side, which would be 5 fire. So they're banning that one away. Interesting. Well, I'm here for production. It looks like this is correct. So Team Minui now side swapped over to blue side. Team Prismal over on the red side now here.
Wait, it's Shrimps. Shrimps is also a good TF player. Okay.
Yeah.
We have 2 good TF players. Yeah. No, Shrimps is just a very good global player in general. I hope to see something like that again. Can they play for the bot lane and whatnot? But it's interesting to see. You actually see them ban the Graves.
The Graves, yeah.
They were actually
about that blue one.
Yeah, they're actually so scared that Dragoon would pick it again that they actually banned it so he couldn't pick it up again.
I wouldn't have. I mean, maybe they just want a competitive game this time.
Yeah, really bold draft plan. Actually banning out your own player.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about the weak side strength of Dragoon, so I don't know. I don't look at Graves as like a weak side player. I feel like you're just taking that away from Gamsu, who will absolutely run over you with that. Although also Gamsu, his story this year has been weird. I mean, like he came back and they were just like Orin duty. Gamsu, you're playing Orin. Sorry, buddy. Like enjoy the tanks. But he was starting to add those carries to his champ pool. But all right, there's the Vex ban. So no surprise there.
I think people are really misled when like a person just keeps picking like tanks and whatnot and like continues playing weak side. They'll be like, oh, that top laner isn't good. Why aren't you picking, Camille Fiora and just, 50-50ing the entire lane? But it's like the potency for a person to load into game and know their role and play to that role perfectly is so valuable in a team environment. So it's like a player like Gamsu that can, pick up a tank and be like, yeah, I'll play tank, I'll scale, I'll go even, just win the other side of the map and I'll smile. Right? It's so good and it's so undervalued in League of Legends like culture as a whole. Right, because even from like a spectator, point of view, I said I hate Lux, as a champion because she's boring, right? But it's like, just having a Lux that can, sit and scale in lane, it's like, no, it's a cool little thing, right? Yeah. If a player can do that continuously, then good for them.
People also don't fully respect the difference between a good tank player and a bad tank player, and how much space a good tank player actually buys for your carries, right? If you can do that every single game into whatever matchup is going on, regardless of whether or not you're playing mechanically intensive champions, you are still a good player. You're buying so much space for your carriers to do what they have to do. We were talking about Minui playing a role last game. Gamsu played a role all year for 100 Thieves.
Sorry, we're seeing
I'm reacting to the champ picks right now, not Elijah's take there. Although I do agree with that take. Yeah, I mean that's just kind of the story of Gamsu. But yeah, just catching up. Viego, Lisa and LeBlanc answer, so that's a very strong mid-jungle combo, which we are already highlighting would be important here. But yeah, the Akshan, this is an interesting flavor pick for Team Minui.
Oh, the Veigar getting picked up too. Okay, so again, obviously as you can probably tell by now, I'm a big Veigar V2 fan. So I'm curious what build he ends up going on the Veigar here. Okay, Camille getting picked up here. So, I mean, again, you have a lane that the Lisa and LeBlanc can play to. You're saving your bot side 4-4-5, which is very difficult because a lot of times a bot lane is good because you can pick it at the same time. Picking on the 4-5 means the enemy team can see what you're picking and then can draft around it, get a takeaway and whatnot. So it makes drafting for bot lane a little bit hard. So we'll see how the Prismal team ends up drafting around that. But anyways, the Veigar build, he's been going like I believe it's a Predator build.
He's been playing Predator with Overgrowth and whatever the other one is.
Overgrowth conditioning, probably.
Yeah, overgrowth conditioning. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just a perma-scale Veigar build. Sheer utility.
Do you go Emax?
Probably second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's always Q first and then W because of its AP scaling. You don't need to rank that, and you just get E second. Yep. Okay. But yeah, so you just get like the cage, and then like total uptime ends up being like, I think I did the math, and it's like a 1.8 second window where the enemy team has to answer the play. Otherwise, you just get your second cage after you drop the first one. So super interesting. Again, we'll have to see the Veigar build. But I think it's really good thematically into the enemy team, and it makes carries like Jinx harder to play,
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting pick. Ezreal wasn't available, so that was a good ban from them.
What is the Jinx trying to do here with a Lee Sin, LeBlanc, Camille? Just like, hey guys, I'm gonna ult to follow up your dive.
She just tries to exist, I guess. Like Incon mentioned, Viger's gonna buy so much space to actually just keep the Jinx out of fights pretty much every single time that they're gonna be in a kind of a spot where Jinx is basically gonna be a W ult bot. If she manages to get one kill, maybe she can find angles to get into the middle of fights, but if she gets caught in a cage, she will get one shot.
I mean, I guess maybe the argument is like with Viego and eXyu, that's two stealth champions along a wall. You can just like drop your chompers to block them. That's a very niche interaction, but I mean, who knows? Okay, so that's going to be
Akshan AD, Poppy top. Okay,
I think Akshan AD, not Akshan mid, and Veigar bot lane.
Yeah, it could be Veigar bot.
I think Veigar needs to go mid. If he's just like a low level and whatnot, then it's hard to play. But
if this was Prismal, I would say 100% he's playing the Veigar, but I'm still 50-50 because I don't know Minui's champ pool.
Yeah. One thing I want to highlight with so they end up picking the Lulu because they lock in the Rakan again. So Prismal, their team ends up drafting super well, where they pick the Hyper on 4, and when team locks in the Rakan, they punish with Enchanter on 5. Very good draft plan from them. Really good execution, and then I think Minui's team maybe had a little issue knowing what support to pick on 4, so run into that little bit of a little bit. But overall, I think the Poppy's a really good pick because you're into LeBlanc, Lee Sin, and Camille, so you have triple dash topside, and Poppy's like, cool, I have a W. Like, what are you gonna do to me now? So really good pickup from Gamsu there to recognize that and lock that in. But the problem is the Camille can still get a lot of value from just dropping top lane and then coming mid and then just ulting onto that Veigar. So we'll have to see how Dragoon traverses that.
Yeah, well,
really interesting to watch.
The main thing for the side of Minui is what they're mainly going to want to do is just buy time, buy space, deny any sort of engage between Poppy and Veigar, and by the end of every fight, they should be able to just kind of just play for. All right, you've blown off your mobility spells. We've pretty much stopped everything you want to do. We have Poppy ult, we have W, we have E to kind of stop anything you really realistically want. Mm-hmm. And also, I think they have a pretty good top side as well, in terms of just like straight 3v3.
I'm liking a lot of what Team Minui has drafted in terms of like answers into what Team Prismal has. When I look at Prismal's comp, it's still just so much potential to blow up this mid lane. Like, I feel like that's what they're going to play through. Like, Inconspicuous, I agree with you. If the Camille just drop the lane, just go mid lane. We see Akshan for 5-fire right now. Yeah. I don't think Akshan works as a bot laner from what I've seen of him so far. Like, it's so tough to actually play that out. Because you're trying to get kills. You're trying to, like, get around the map. You're a roam champ as well. I might be losing my internet right now. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
I still hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
You're looking handsome. Yep, we see
little robotic, but all right. Cool. Hopefully the stream doesn't lose me. I'll keep my point short. I feel like you kind of have to, but that's even less defensive tools then because you don't have a cage now to defend against that Camille coming in.
Yeah. I mean, the really problematic thing that the Akshan Viego Poppy topside opens you up to is obviously your triple AD topside now. So the early game will be a bit. Like, it'll be a bit okay, because it's like just taking like one armor rune isn't gonna really influence fights. When you start getting to that like one item, like half item breakpoint, the enemy team having all that armor and your team having to go like armor and MR makes it a little bit harder. So you really need your Veigar to get ahead, because if your Veigar doesn't get ahead, then you're just a bunch of AD threats. And it's like, okay, we just build the armor and there's nothing you can do. So it's really tough.
Theory. If Camille says screw top lane, I'm going mid. Akshan says screw mid, I'm going bot. Just push that wave and keep rubbing down to that bottom side.
One falls later.
Exactly, yeah. But same exercises before. Elijah, thoughts on the draft? Anything that we've missed already that we've been trying to cover as we're going? But then also there's the 5v5s who you're favoring.
Yeah, for the side of Team Minui, I feel like as long as their top side stays stable through early mid, like we mentioned before, team fights are extremely hard for Prismal to play out. I do think they'll probably just run over game 2 again.
I disagree. That's where I disagree. I'm sorry. So I think eXyu and CptShrimps are going to be pissed off. They're going to be like, oh my god, we played bad. We need to do well this game. They're just going to try their hardest to win that mid-jungle 2v2. And I think what we might see is them get that early advantage, But then I think you'll see like the team fight advantage from blue team come out and win the game as it goes later. So I still favor blue team. So I agree.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, wait, is it that one kind of what Elijah was saying?
I agree that blue team will win. I just think red team will be pissed off from last game. So that's where we'll see the difference come.
Yeah, well, to be honest, last game watching eXyu, whatever. Lee Sin, eXyu, pissed off. Mainly looked like him 1v3ing at Herald. So I don't really care to see when he gets pissed off. Maybe he decided to actually play a good game this time.
Ooh. All right. Well, with that little bit of spice sprinkle on top, we're going to send it back over to a break before Zephyr and GoForino pick it up for cast of game number 2 right after this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to AOE Esports' Amateur Arena, and we're bringing you another great game here between Team Prismal versus Team Minui. If you're just joining us, we are coming off of a dastardly dominating pace of control from Team Minui in Game 1 here, playing a lot through, notably Chad, who's already stepping up here, but either way, I'm your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, of course, joined by the lovely GoForino as my color.
Lovely indeed. That's what I've been told by my co-caster Zephyr, at least.
Good. Keep that in
The
mind.
analyst desk does agree with us on that point, because sometimes the analyst desk and us casters do disagree on points, but other jokes aside, pretty standard fan out here from both sides. Do like it once again here. CptShrimps, since you are that LeBlanc, you are able to very easily just go for these deep wards. If you take that distortion level 1, it is one hell of a dash, because you can use it to dash in, drop the ward if there's danger, you just blink back. See it there, once again on this red buff.
I was about to say, I'm actually quite pleased to have the ward this time around. On top of Chad, given that last time, for any of you who didn't have the opportunity to watch, it was a Lee Sin Thunderdome here from Chad, through and through, time and time again. We were sitting, 5 kills up in that first 10 minutes or so. So any information, any direction that can be gained here from the Prismal side is something I'm happy to see.
Yep. And I mean, Team Prismal, once again, they have the tools here to make some very explosive picks with the Lee Sin, with the LeBlanc, with the Camille. That is one nightmarish topside combo to be going against if you happen to be the opposing side, which thankfully me and you are not, Zephyr. I don't think we could stand up to that.
No, I don't think I could ever stand up to any of these players. There's a reason why I don't play League more and much less even cast it at this point. It scares me.
It's okay. It's October. Our greatest fears all come to fruition for All Hallows Eve, even if you are a bit early. But hey, it's the spirit of the month.
Oh. Either way here, I love the priority gained, and it's no surprise here. We had a lot of questions between the likes of both of us kind of going into this, especially with the Vygar pick in the bot, because there's not a lot of prio to be had there. So we already see Prismal taking great advantage of that, crashing this wave thunderously here into turret, which will be incredibly difficult for any terms of pickup.
That will be... Oh? Yeah, this is what we did see last game. Exact same bot lane combo. Of course, it was Team P and not Team Prismal. It teleported in top lane. It's a party in the USA.
Well, it's more of a bash in that regard. It's a quick first blood picked up for 5fire off of the rotation. And, we had some questions in the mid lane, especially out of Kangas and the like. And you know what? Who cares? If you can't make mid lane work with the Akshan, just head somewhere else. Oh, we've seen this one before. Breezyy knock up, grand entrance, but no poke to be followed through. Now Dragoon here back up on the top side. Teleport did come through, but he's already sitting the third way down.
And if you were to put Dragoon behind O2 early, that'd be such a detriment to this Camille, who we know can be that massive 1 versus 1 threat when it comes to the split push. Analyst desk were also talking about that this Camille could be pivoting towards the mid lane to just kind of goon squad on top of 5fire here with that hook shot, with that Hextech ultimatum. But if you're down 0-2, which thankfully Dragoon is not, it is much more harder to do that, especially when you're pushed into tower like this, Zephyr.
Oh, I don't think that's going to slow up anytime soon here. Gamsu has a nifty experience in terms of keeping the control here in these lanes, and we saw it into any given matchup. So playing that Poppy 2 negates any and all pressure that Dragoon really has, even if there's the potential for gank, which is coming through here. You've got eXyu up on that top side looking for something. Ward is down in river, so that's not a good ability to throw down there. Follow up Sonic Wave. Nothing to catch here. They're just going to take control back.
The wave being that far up definitely helping out Gamsu here, and going to be more than happy to just back off as this Poppy. Already has the Sheena as well. Even though in the past we have... Oh no, we're going to have a bit of a scuffle.
More than just a bit of a scuffle. They're going to find more than that there. Winter being there to save the day prevents them from going that much further here on eXyu. But now in the mid lane, 5fire looking for more as we see the quick follow-up from eXyu to secure Chad there. So deep as they are there, it is just the one and done in both regards on that top side. So, oh wait, CptShrimps back in with Ignite, but no, it can't find the kill pressure that he wants.
Ooh, so close, and this mid lane is very bloody. Here comes eXyu though on the side, does have flash if they really want to commit.
No, don't flash. He's already out, yeah.
Whee! It can go a very long distance.
Yeah, yes, it can. Either way here, CS advantage found in both that top and mid. No surprise there here, but still Minui, who we kind of tossed up to having a bit more struggles here against what was Prismal here on the Jinx, is actually shored up quite nicely. And you have to give a lot of credit to the fact that Winter tried to find something towards that top lane. So the presence here on bot kind of shifted back over here towards the Minui side for a little bit of time. Now that Winter's back in there, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of react in vengeance.
Although, keep in mind, Winter did expend both of his summoners in the top lane for that counterplay, which didn't result in anything. But a Lulu without flash, when there happens to be a Rakan here with that Grand Entrance, when there happens to be a Veigar here with that Event Horizon, that can be a sticky situation to get caught in. As the squishy Lulu, we have Chad here on the side. Let's see if they have the CC here. All it takes is one cage, one knock-up.
eXyu's there too, and he actually had the rotation from Shrimp as well, so if they had gone for anything there, it would have been punished out immediately, but they quickly notify themselves on that read, and they're actually going to give up this Cloud Drake too as well.
Yep, that Prio in the bot lane, working out for them. I believe mid lane was pretty even when it came to Prio, but of course with CptShrimps having that first Bromon down, picking up this earliest dragon, let yourself be sitting nice and comfortable with that extra little bit of scaling. Make yourself feel a little bit good here. Feel good vibes all around, Zephyr.
Well, hopefully those good vibes can translate here. This is probably a bit more even this time around. We don't have quite the mess that was Chad becoming just a crucial force to deal with here. But I will say, Fire going deep there, finds what he needs. It's the passive to break down.
It is gonna pop the passive from CptShrimp here. CptShrimps will have Ignite back up in about 40 seconds, I want to say, judging by that cooldown timer. Combine that with the Electrocute. And if CptShrimps gets a back off here to get an early bit of AP juice in the inventory, this could be a lot of kill threat onto Fire if the stars do align with a combo.
Ooh, good knock up. Grand entrance there from Breezyy, but no major follow-up in that regard. Dragoon here. No, nothing crazy to behold. And I gotta ask you this, if we talk about scaling presence for the late, because this game does feel like it might be going on that much longer here, what team will benefit more?
I mean, it's kind of hard to call because both these teams are kind of similar in that they have these two carries, the Akshan, the Jinx. They do scale very well. Then you also have these strong team fight threats that do scale well in the Viego, the Camille. And I kind of want to say it depends on who's getting the earlier injections of gold first. That might just be tipping it.
Oh, Minui here. Just a quick wipe of a punish. Nothing too crazy to be said. As for us, though, here on the broadcast, we're getting a little bit of some technical difficulties, so we're going to take the moment to back off here, and when we join you, hopefully nothing too exciting will occur here. So we'll be right back. Lickety-split.
Okay.
Welcome back here. You're catching the tail end here of Dragoon, picking up more than one. Gonna be the 2 off of the double there. So easy kills across the board here, all on the back end, picked up here by the likes of the Prismal squad.
Oh my. Okay. The 0-2 Camille that was behind that much in CS, now just getting that impeccable double kill under turret. I mean, Dragoon's back in the game, baby. Oh, fire. Hell Force, okay.
Ooh. One more quick kill picked up there for the side of the Prismal squad, and they're wiping this one off quite quick.
Yeah.
Oh, big dive. Breezyy under, but the turret shots, they're hurting in the flash. Right into the super mega death rocket there. Now Wild Growth and another one to pick up. It's a double.
Yep. And sorry once again to our beloved viewers. We're gonna have to pause here and do some fixing behind the scenes because we have the spectator bug, which is great. So we'll be back in just a second while we get this sorted out.
Right. Hopefully, no more bugs to behold here on the Rift, unless it's a Kha'Zix, but I don't happen to see one in this game. But maybe the spectator will grace us with a little bit more action this time around. We're coming back into it. We just got back from what was 5 kills, finding their way over here to the Prismal squad across all ends of these lanes.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite literally an ace, a double kill in the bot lane, a solo kill in the mid lane, and a double kill in the top lane. Yes, it was kind of spread out, so it wasn't a full ace. There were some respawns, but that was a massive pickup there. Even with that being said, though, Team Prismal is technically behind in gold, thanks a lot in part to some of these massive CS deficits, especially in the top lane, bit in the bot lane as well. Who's looking for this, though? We got a dragon spawning in about 15 Zephyr, and we've seen a lot of action already, and I feel like there's going to be some here in just a second.
Well, definitely could be. CptShrimps over that wall. Trying to find a little bit of the poke, but it gives them the information to know who is there and awaiting this one. Teleport now coming through from Gamsu. If they want to set this one up, Dragon does have the response available at any given point to make sure that that Camille can come in too, but just holding off.
Yeah, Dragoon does have teleport if they do want to join in on this force. It does not look like that might be the case. That's a great pick onto Breezyy, though.
He's out. Rocket's down and Dragon's taken. There wasn't much of a pick.
Oh, wait, CptShrimps gonna find Fire here. Is Fire gonna find CptShrimp? I don't know. It goes either way here, except for a lot of hubbub in like the span of 15 seconds for it just being a single Dragon pickup.
Either way, neither find really each other. No kills on the board there, but it was, of course, that Dragon finally secured back here in the realm here of the Minui squad. But now, Waves crashing in eXyu. He can make a quick dive. Chad is there for the response at any given point. He's going to get the stun back on eXyu, and the cage is down to find the double into one quick blast there. Maybe a Primordial Burst to finish it if necessary.
Does have Ignite.
Meanwhile, mid lane, 5fire looking good, but a big flash from CptShrimps into the back end. 1-2, the autos secure that one out.
And CptShrimps, I mean, typically we see every single mid laner go for the flash teleport. Never mind that. Chad does have the Heartbreaker. He is going to miss that.
Gosh.
No way CptShrimps gets out of this. Okay.
No, absolutely not. He's more than dead.
Yeah, it was close, though. There was a chance. There was a chance. But this Ignite for CptShrimp in the mid lane paying dividends here, Zephyr, allowing the Shrimp himself to go in just whenever that's up, have this really strong kill threat to pressure out 5fire, which is not something you're typically used to against the LeBlanc. You're used to the teleport for that side lane pressure, for that split push pressure, but if you just have that insane kill threat, if you just kill your lane opponent over and over and over again in that 1 versus 1, you won't need that teleport for the side lane pressure.
I was about to say, we saw it in game 1. If you get the kill pressure on the board, you take yourself to an accelerated lead. Doesn't really particular matter in terms of those micro details here. And I'll be honest, looking strong even here for the whole side of Prismal this time around. You've got a dense amount of gold on every single carry here. Ooh, Winter spotting out Breezyy. He's gonna hop on his way.
It is just a Lulu. Will be annoying. We'll probably be able to do a little chunk towards you. Oh, Shrimps is looking for this. There's a heroic swing. That's a good
found the root. Unlucky there on that length.
But really a great pickup here. Putting this Hawkshaw that can be that late game menace here down 1 in 3. Not exactly having a good time, and CptShrimps will be having that Ignite back up here in about a minute, I want to say, judging by that cooldown timer. And if CptShrimps is able to finish off the Ludens on this back, that is the amount of just pure damage coming out is going to be so insane to deal with.
Absolutely here. Wave crashes, but they still don't find turret. Meanwhile, Chad picked out. I wouldn't even say caught. He's gone far lost there before he even has a chance to respond. So tries to find that vision and punished. For now, here. Keeper's verdict.
Too.
Gamsu doesn't find it though.
Okay.
Ooh. On to Minui here. No cage. Winner with a little bit of that polymorph. Going to slow the fight down there.
Shrimps definitely having a ball of a time here. Yes, eXyu is also pretty okay. 5fire's in danger. Great field. Good dash.
Hexic Ultimatum's going to keep Gamsu in there, but the quickness in the knockup. Dragoon gets his own response with the wild growth, keeping him healthy and actually preventing most of the chase to ensue there. Now deep in the back, CptShrimps easily deletes, and the rest, they fall like dominoes. A cage is down, but it's not going to prevent anyone from making their runs here. And now, Chad on his own fight. A good kite to behold. Prismal with a big flash there out of the Heartbreaker range to secure another one here as Prismal continues to take the lead. Oh,
and this is just feeling like last. Okay, Gamsu in a bit of danger.
No, he's good. He's good.
That is 3 towers though picked up here now by the side of Team Prismal. That is a lot of pressure. We see that teleport into that dragon pit by 5fire. They're trying to pincer on into the mid lane here because Prismal does not have any sums. But does have a Winter.
does have a Winter to secure it if need be here. 5fire once again playing his little dance on the back end, but nothing to really behold. I like this Gamsu making sure that no exuded control over the river is going to go completely one way.
It's looking.
Oh, CptShrimps, one of the best to maybe make his way out here, but I like this setup with the Primordial Burst right into what will be that comeuppance. Now, it doesn't secure the kill, but Chad being on the back end more than likely will make that happen. 5fire, the one to pick that one up.
Great pincer move there to punish this LeBlanc in the bot lane, especially right as Dragon has spawned. That is a 1-for-1 you'll take. There was also the revive. not the most necessary in that situation, but it does give you that 5 versus 4 map advantage. It will let you get the dragon advantage as well when you are, to put it lightly, on the back foot here, Zephyr. You will appreciate that little bit of extra cushioning here from that dragon stack advantage.
Something to make sure that you still have a little bit of advantage in terms of the timing for these objectives, but it still doesn't solve the fact here that most of those who are in the position to just walk through this composition are already there here. You look at Prismal in the bot lane on this Jinx, which we had questions coming into about the real pace of what was going to be had here. Already in a fantastic look, and the rest of the team as well, and notably Lee Sin apparently being the name of the game here tonight, also looking great here on this time of eXyu. Meanwhile though, mid lane, Hunter Chad, he's not doing as well.
Yeah, locked down with the Hextech ultimatum, can't escape with that Heartbreaker. Team Prismal. Incon was kind of assuming that they might come back with a vengeance. That I know CptShrimps was name dropped. I believe eXyu was also name dropped, but I don't want
would hope so.
For any mistakes I make. 5 Fire might be in danger. eXyu's over the wall, does have a kick, does have a dream, does have a Lulu, and does not want to go in.
I don't think I would be more than willing to go in there, especially as they spot out Breezyy as he clears out most of that vision on his rotation.
Narrative, Zephyr. Maybe
I understand the vengeance narrative, but I also understand not letting it blind you here. So they've already picked up what they wanted. They got the rotation. They went to topside. They got the tier 1 and 2. They're more than happy to say, okay, let's wait maybe for another day.
Yep. Still, that's definitely such a huge dub that they've been able to garner across the map here, Zephyr.
Correct.
What?
I said that's correct.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
It is correct. Now follow up on that because you've led me to this position right
Okay. They have completely taken control here across the board.
That is correct.
In terms of any position on the map here.
Are they going
now,
for Baron?
they could do so. There is no vision set up in the like here for the side of Minui, but with
like,
Breezyy being right there,
this.
yeah, he's available. No, quick response. There's no way they're going to take a 50-50 anytime soon.
Yeah, unless they get very strong control to the point where they can kill the Baron before the 50-50 does happen, or get some sort of advantage by killing someone. There's someone in the mid lane. It is a Lu, or sorry, a Poppy though. I get my yodels mixed up.
Well, taking a bit of vision. 5 fire.
This could be a
Here
big
on the
pick.
back, it's not a pick though. They don't have the damage to capitalize off something like this. Keeper's Verdict is going to keep Shrimp away for a little bit longer, but you still lose the majority here, and this is what I mean. The team was not in the position to capitalize on something like that.
Yeah, you can see the thought process there. Okay,
Dragoon.
that is a shutdown for Minui.
Separated. 5 fire. He's going to try to recover this one, but it's only on to Winter here, and with the rest of the team deleted, they can walk this one forward. No one to defend.
Yeah, I'm surprised 5 Fire did not get any revives there, but still, 2 for 5. That is a rough looking here. Props to Team Minui for giving it their best shot in that fight. Not going down without a fight, so to speak, but the total eclipse, the total control over the entirety of Summoner's Rift just further clamped down here by the side of Prismal with that fight, Zephyr.
Yeah, it's more than likely lost at this point. 21 up. Everyone who you need to be in the right position at that current point with not a really keen sense of direction here of what this composition wants to do. I mean, there's a little bit of safety when we talk about the cage, the disengage that can be provided by Poppy, some of those other slight mechanics, and it's not really going to do much when the entirety here of the side of Prismal can wipe you in a second flat.
Yeah, like that.
I mean, look at this. Gone.
Okay, that was a little over a
little bit, maybe over a second, but you get the concept.
Yeah, like, Minui's fault there was being a screen and a half away from a 8-2 and 5 LeBlanc. That's where you just throw up your hands and go, well, might be for that one, I guess.
Not a lot of agency in terms of what they can do here, and with a quick Baron now easily secured out for them. Yeah, you see they're trying to pressure these waves out, but not a lot of keen respect here in any regard. A little bit of slow zap to be found. Breezyy did the dash here onto the Grand. Just going to expend what is that active to get him that extra bit of speed that much far forward. And Keeper's Verdict's already pulled out too. This is what I'm talking about. You have those little micro things that might save you just a bit, but in the face of the majority here, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, and okay, Five Fire. This would be a big hero play. Does at least have the methods to get out. As long as the Resonating Strike does not land. Judging by directed cam, this could be a big pick onto the Shrimp.
Does find a little bit there, but Shrimp easily going to make his way over the wall. Dragoon and eXyu, they're on the back end here, still trying to find Five Fire. They're going to enact Vengeance onto Chad as Deep Dragoon goes there to secure the one. He kicks the Rage into his hands. Maybe bring this one back in, though, with the Sonic Wave. The most of the Prismal squad, though, isn't really over the wall to make short work here. So, it's Winter, though, with the big save to keep eXyu that much further alive. And he goes back in to secure, make sure he gets his comeuppance. And they continue to route this one forward.
They're trying their darndest here for Team Minui. I'll give them that, but the analyst desk was talking about how team fights, Team Minui, they definitely have like the advantage. They have so much zone control. They can use that to just draw out Team Prismal here, make them waste a lot of cooldowns. Oh, they're going for this.
That's the zone control we talk about into that Primordial Burst. It's something to start with, but Prismal's on the response to take the one. Now he turns to Minui. Deep he goes with the rockets under turret to find the two. Next, it's Five Fire into the Super Mega for 3 here. Yeah, you've got a little bit of zone control. Yeah, you can lock him down for a second, but there's nothing you can do in the face of that damage.
And this just looks to be the game here. These are two great tower takers with the Baron buff, with the Dream, with a massive goal lead. And Team Prismal, they come back fighting hard here in game number 2, Zephyr. And they aren't taking any prisoners.
No, absolutely not. In fact, they worked their way into Fountain there at the end just to run it that much further. 28-9, an absolute wash of a lead here, and I'm getting a little bit of deja vu when we talk about Game 1 in comparison here because it was almost as dominant. Now, I will say there was some big pauses on our end of the broadcast that definitely kind of stuttered things out here, but the level of consistency, I want to bring this up, that we saw those kills come forward here from Team Prismal to put every single one of their carries in the absolute darndest position was so quick. It happened in what was like 3 minutes. We saw a full team ace split across the entire map.
Yeah, and even though Team Minui, they had technically a little bit of an early lead, they had managed to put Dragoon on so much of a back foot that he could not roam mid lane to do the Camille things that Desk wanted to see, where you just pick it off and kill Five Fire, but able to just respond with the double kill. Then we see CptShrimps able to just get these massive solo kills in the mid lane, thanks to that Ignite. And then, I mean, bot lane, even winning the 2v2 as well. I'm wondering if Desk might have some words to say, because I believe the analysts on the desk were scratching their heads a little bit about putting Five Fire on the Akshan and then putting Minui on the Veigar here.
Oh, it definitely didn't look like it really came to full fruition. We talked a lot about what maybe the zone control it could have had if you were able to get that kind of wombo where you get that lockdown, pay it forward into the final, kind of maybe a knock-up quickness, whatever it may be, and then take them 1-to-1, but that never really came through, and that in itself is something that takes a lot of execution and is not very easy in comparison to the concept of win lane, win game, run it down here. Either way, though, that's all I personally can say on the matter. We're going to toss this one back, of course, to Inconspicuous, Elijah, and of course, the Grand God himself, Kangas, to take it away.
Grand God. Wow, I never realized that was my title here. But thank you, Zephyr. Thank you, Go Farino, for the cast. Guys, Right off the bat, the eXyu went into the mid lane, the Veigar went into the bot lane. So I want to start talking about that because we weren't sure going into the game which one they were going to do. We thought maybe it made more sense. So Inconspicuous, I'm going to give this one to you to start us off here. What are your thoughts on maybe why they did that? And then we'll also send it back to Elijah to break down a little bit about, why we might not agree with it.
So it's really hard to try and figure out why they went with this, actually. I think maybe they were worried that the Veigar was just too immobile to step into the mid lane against Lee Sin LeBlanc, which is definitely a possibility because obviously, Veigar, he only has the cage. If you misplace your cage, you're just going to die. So I'm thinking that they felt a little pressured there, and they're like, fine, guys, we'll have to put Akshan into mid, at least he has an E to try and get away from them. But then it puts your team just into a really, again, tough position where I said, if the Veigar gets ahead, the game gets a little if the Veigar gets behind, it's a little hard to play the game because then, you just have triple AD topside and then a Veigar that's behind and you don't really have that many outs. So I think it put them into a tough spot, but maybe they felt they had to do that because of the mobility that was coming from enemy mid. It's the only thing I can think of, possibly. If someone has a better answer, please jump in. I don't think it's the right answer.
The interesting thing that I wanted to kind of touch on is the fact that we did see eXyu actually go top side first. I thought that eXyu would be looking at the bottom side of the map, playing through that big arcade, but early on to go for that dive, they actually get that kill. But regardless, Elijah, what were your thoughts on that? And kind of what's the purpose of this Predator Veigar? Because they did go for the Predator. What was that supposed to
do? so generally Predator Veigar, the whole reason you kind of play Veigar and the reason that he's been having some success in solo queue and maybe will next season as well is just because you're looking to play for utility and making plays around the map with Predator, right? That's the whole point of taking Predator, that's the whole point of picking the champion. If you're going to take and pick Predator Veigar and put it bot in a spot where you will never be able to realistically leave the lane and then lose your lane, right? Then you end up being in a spot where realistically the Veigar will not be able to do anything. You're basically playing with no keystone. You may as well not play with a keystone. Because the Predator is losing almost half its effectiveness without being able to snowball another lane, right? Mm-hmm. So it kind of just shows I'm just copying what people are talking about on Twitter without actually thinking about why things are the way they are, right?
Yeah, we see that trend a lot with players, especially in the amateur scene, where it's conceptually there's this thing that's cool, but then what is it actually supposed to do and how are you supposed to play it correctly? So if you want to give maybe an area of growth here for Minui, they're okay, what's the lesson? What did we learn?
To prepare before going on broadcast, so your parents know that you're going to be on camera, so they don't do that.
That's true. Yeah.
So the actual lesson,
number one.
The actual lesson would be think about why things are strong before you actually pick them, because there's no reason to pick Veigar on 3 there without knowing what bot lane you're playing into, without even knowing you're going to have a good matchup. Sure. And then kind of force it to do something it wasn't meant to do, right?
Yeah. I think
Inconspicuous, real quick before we get into the next point, before you dive in there, what's your mom's name? Can we get her back in to give her thoughts on the game? Can we get the Inconspicuous mom cast?
Her name's Nancy. She's a lovely lady.
Nancy, all right.
This is her office that I am in for the weekend, so I appreciate her letting me borrow it. I can call her if you'd like your input, but she doesn't like being on camera, as you probably saw. She walked away with a notepad covering her face.
Well, shout outs to Nancy for being the AOE, backup caster here.
Shout outs to Nancy for birthing me, honestly, a real one for that. Amazing work having to put up with me. Amazing work having to put up with me for 21 years after that. But she somehow managed to do it. Yeah, you see what I say. Poor soul. But yeah, no, anyways, I mean, if I'm Minui, right, it's you have to understand, why you pick things and just because something on paper is strong, if you're not utilizing it in the manner it needs to be utilized, then you're not getting a lot of the value out of a champion, right? Mm-hmm. Picking a champion just because it's strong, just because you think you're a fan of it, doesn't actually drive value. It's when a player is good at 3 champions, and then a new champion comes in meta, and they try and play the new champion instead of just sticking to their 3 champions. Right? It's stick with what you're good at, recognize what you're good at, don't try and copy something if you don't know why you're doing it. Right?
Sure.
If you're a tank player, keep playing tanks if you're great at it. If you're a carry player, keep playing carries. Going from playing Jinx to Veigar.
Unless you have a coach like yourselves to help out the players learn these new champs, right? And they're a self plug right there. But outside of just the lane matchups, outside of just the Veigar pick, which is just kind of a head scratcher for us, that's why I wanted to spend some time thinking about it. There were also some in-game decision making that we can also talk about, specifically around objectives. So what I like from Red Side's comp here with the top half of the map, 3 champs that can dive a backline if they can get around those objectives first. And we saw something similar happen around that second Rift Herald where we were kind of confused as like, okay, who's fighting over this? What's the kind of purpose behind this? Inconspicuous, I know that you had some thoughts on that. So what was going on around the second Rift Herald where both teams just decided, you know, it's worth it to fight for this?
Yeah, so I'm an overall second Rift Herald hater. And then, you know, seeing 2 teams send 4 people each to the Rift Herald to then go and box it out one by one was kind of interesting. I don't think it's ever worth it. I made the comment when I was watching it that Jinx was in the bot lane against Vigo. Vigo was the jungler for blue team. If you're a blue team and you're sitting there contesting Rift Herald with no smite and you're losing everything bot side and Jinx is just getting hyper fed, that is so not worth for you. You have their main carry getting all of the gold on one side of the map. You have your other side of the map who's going to be inevitably losing that neutral objective, right? You're just losing everywhere on the map effectively, right? So it's like, you know, if you want to deny the Rift Herald, there's a way you can tactically deny the Herald by just playing your waves properly and choking out the enemy team and just controlling the top quadrant while not going for the 50-50. But when you opt in for the take and your jungler isn't there, it opens up this really hairy part where you have to keep jockeying around the objective. That just opens up a team to just be like, oh, why don't we just overload the other side of the map and just get all the objectives there? And it's like, oh, that's great. We're just getting like 500 gold ahead. It's amazing, right? So that's like the overall problem of second Rift Herald that I think I see teams going for, especially in this when it's really hard because you're playing with each other for like the first time or like the second time. So communication lines are not super clear, right? So I think when objective is hard to communicate, it's best just kind of avoid it and go for a simpler game plan.
Sure. And those cross map plays are something that, I mean, honestly, if I had to say, like, throughout LCS, like the top level play in North America, we got better at it this year. I actually was noticing more of that, but it's still just something that it feels like we don't do that much of. So yeah, let's learn at this level. Elijah, I'm going to send this next one over to you. Kind of wrapping up thoughts of that last game because we have one more game. There's 3 that we're playing today, 3 blocks here. So what have we learned from the first 2, and what do we expect to see going into game 3, whether it's, you know, pick trends or just play style trends, things that you're noticing?
Well, something that I thought would just be the case going in with that is that Fire would essentially just dominate the mid lane matchup. But if we're talking about interesting decisions to be made, it looks like CptShrimps made the decision to open up Fire live on stream. So I think it was actually a great thing to see that because it makes game 3 so much more interesting from a mid lane perspective. Because you kind of just assume, like, going into it, I feel like we all had the same idea. The teams are a little bit imbalanced on Fire's side, right? Seeing that game 2 and having Incon actually end up being correct, that it looks like CU and CptShrimps would come out and have a great game 2 means that game 3 I feel like should be a pretty close one, hopefully.
And I think to rebound on that, right? You know, what should we be looking for? You know, game 3, right? It's 1-1, right? Winner takes all. It's just for bragging rights, though. You know, nothing too serious, right?
Oh, players have been keeping track on Twitter. They've been tweeting out their win-loss records during these. Yeah,
I enjoy a little bit of competition. It's down. I'm down for it. But I think the important thing to see in draft is who gets the winning mid jungle 2v2, because each game we've seen those 2 roles just take over the rest of the game. So whatever you can do to get that winning jungle mid 2v2, and then have a lane that you can then play for secondarily to then get the lead there, that's really what you're looking for this game 3. That will be what guarantees you the win. So I expect to see mid jungle getting picked later into draft. You see a lot safer just bot lanes and top lanes getting picked up on either side. That way they can just play their roles and then just let the mid jungle try and take over. That's what I expect to see. If I don't see it, then whichever team doesn't do that will probably end up losing. It's my prediction for game 3. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like it. Well, that's a lot of what we had prepared to talk about for this one. So now that the players have chosen to delay going into pick and ban here, us on production are going to play a little game I like to call What Were We Talking About During That Game? Now, Elijah, I believe that you still have a list up in front of you.
Yes.
Of what was it? The heights and weights of league champions.
Yeah, heights, like H, and wages. Unfortunately, not foot size, but yes.
Okay. So we're gonna play a little game here. I'm gonna pick a champion. Inconspicuous, you're gonna have to guess the height and the weight of the champion, and then and the age of the champion. We're gonna Elijah will let it. We're gonna start off here. Let's throw out Vex. Let's choose a new one. Newest champion on the Rift. Height, weight, and size.
Is Vex on the list?
Age. Yeah, she's on the list. She's on the list.
They updated that list fast. She's Yordle. She's probably old, right? Like 45.
Between 41 and 50. Yeah.
Okay. Not bad.
Weight probably like 60 pounds, bro.
35.
Well, not bad. I'll take that one. It's a dub.
35. Jeez.
35.
That's so funny.
So a lot of it's getting hidden underneath the stupid cloak.
True. Also, the funny thing is, she's supposed to be like this like angsty teenager, but she's like 45 years old.
Yeah, I was gonna say
she's kind of bad though.
I was gonna say I was gonna say she's young, but I forgot she's 45. Never mind.
Yeah.
45.
My bad. Yeah. No, I mean, draft started.
Draft is started.
Oh, hey, look at that! All right, we got one. Maybe we'll keep that going throughout the night if we have other lulls that happen.
Team Prismal said no baddies today.
Exactly. Speaking of, she was banned away to start. There's the Yuumi as well. Do we think that anything needs to be banned as a reaction from last game?
Maybe just ban Jinx. I know it sounds weird, but Prismal's a great Jinx player. Like, that guy's actually just straight goated on the champion. If your other option is to pick the Jinx away, it's not like Jinx is like uber right now. So maybe just ban it just to make draft easier. Instead, we're just gonna ban Gnar because we don't care to actually play the game properly, which is fine. Like, I'm down for that, but like, you know, you can just pick Malphite into it, you can pick Kennedy, you can pick Jace. Like, a lot of, you know, actual good options into it to be a just a better champion at all points in the game than Gnar. But again, you know, I digress. It's whatever. We ban it. Oh, we banned Lee Sin on blue side too. This is overall great draft. Honestly, I'd be down for that too. Yeah. I mean,
let them play what they want. Let's just go 5v5 blind pick because there's no strategy involved.
Yeah. Really. Well, I actually missed 5v5 blind pick. Like, the fact that LCK originally had Game 5s decided by 5v5 blind pick literally made some of the most iconic moments in League of Legends history.
But
Faker
competitive integrity is also kind of a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, competitive integrity. We have NA at Worlds. What do you mean?
Hey, put some respect on it. God damn it! 2 teams 3-3. 1 team made it out of groups. Let's go.
The team that was 2-4 made out of groups. The team was 3-3.
Ironically,
Kiana B1. Kiana B1. That's fair. Once Lee Sin's off the table.
I mean, also if we care about competitive integrity, we should do the Iron Man format, right? Where you just keep playing 1v1s until you can beat everyone.
Yeah.
For tiebreakers, I think it'd be really interesting. Anyways, Kiana getting picked up B1 against semi-flexible, but you expect the Kiana to go jungle here. Probably the Gore Drinker build. We're just picking Jinx on 1-2. That's fine. Graves is flexible on red side, so it's actually pretty good. Graves can be 3-way flexed, again, mid-top jungle. So very potent. Jinx is obviously going to be going AD. We'll be curious to see what ends up happening. You can try and, like, you know, in an awkward way, like, outrange the Jinx and just try and control the Jinx and how she can move by just picking, like, really mid-range champions. Again, like, you know, Azir, Lux can control the path in which she has to operate around. Misfortune can do the same thing where she puts down an E and then puts down an ult. Again, longer range than the Jinx, so it's actually really cool to see. The problem is if you pick support here, and let's say it's like an engage support, red team can respond with Braum, and then you have Jinx, Graves, Braum, which is really good. So if you don't want to see support here, or if you see support, it has to be Enchanter. Sorry. I'm not trying to
if they go the Enchanter, but like, I just don't, other than Yuumi, are there Enchanters that pair well with Misfortune right now?
Okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's about to be bad. That was about to be a rough one.
This is really good. This is exactly what I talked about. So Gangplank and Misfortune have just amazing terrain control that makes the game really hard for Graves and Jinx to play. So I really like seeing the pick come out. I believe Dragoon is on Team Prismal as well. Again, I said he's a very good Gangplank player, so I really like to see this. Lucian is banned for coverage. I mean, top, like, the enemy team can go like Jace, but I really like the Gangplank pick here. Kha'Zix.
It's a lot of AD.
Yeah, I mean, either team is triple AD right now.
Yeah, they both are. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. I expect to see Malphite probably come out from red side, because, no, you actually can't. It's really sad. Really, really sad. Really interesting. Yeah, I mean,
Kha'Zix... Well, they can flex the Graves mid and put the Malphite top. but
yeah, but
you'd
I mean,
be lacking AP.
Yeah, you also have to like get Silas coverage. So yeah, I mean, you could go the Everfrost build that we saw right from Fudge, but then you're just AP top Malphite and it's just not good. And then like Malphite's not the best pick in the Gangplank, whatever. So Malphite's not a pick here, even though it looked good on paper. Anyways, we banned Leona, which is kind of odd. Again, I think if enemy team doesn't ban Braum, it's really not that concerning. You can just save like support counter pick if you really wanted to. I really like the Kha'Zix pick though. I want to touch on that a little bit. So Kha'Zix in competitive usually evolves W first, which will actually reveal to Kiana through the stealth, I believe. If I think that goes the way it's supposed to.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, not either.
But Kha'Zix will end up going like a Gore Drinker Conqueror build, which just makes him kind of like a menace in team fights. But he will get outranged by the Gangplank Misfortune, so it's not super optimal, but can have some interesting interactions for sure.
Really quickly, I think what would be the insane pick here for the side of Prismal would literally just be to break out the Amumu here. I think the Amumu is getting underplayed. I think that he had a couple bad games at Worlds. People think he's not a good champion.
Bro.
He still is. I mean, you have Kiana, you have GP, you have MF. Make it a very simple press R comp, and you put yourself in a spot where Jinx will literally not have enough space to operate.
You're just not serious.
Now Amumu here wins the game.
Wow. Yeah, Amumu would. I feel like they're trying to hold their mid pick. That's the game plan, right? Is that they are like really valuing the mid counter pick, but by doing this opens up a lot of engaged supports for Prismal team to play. There's Amumu.
Oh, we're human today. All right.
Oh, but
I'm.
Seraphine is also okay. Seraphine is also okay. I really like that.
Okay, but it's not.
MF Seraphine's a goated comp, but the problem is you really don't have a front line now. Your front line is like double bruiser from Gangplank Kiana, where the Amumu would have been the tank. Seraphine MF is a classic. They will get lane control, so we can see an early drag stack from blue team
They
now.
get lane control regardless.
I agree, but I do see why MF Seraphine's coming out.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you sound really sold.
What I will say about the Amumu...
don't play that!
Can we go to game, please?
Oh, their draft was so good. They just blind Silas on 4-5. We just aren't serious.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the ults to steal. I'm not even seeing the best ults right now. Like Rakan, probably the biggest one you'd look for. Maybe the Kha'Zix. Like, what's the game plan here? They needed AP damage. The Seraphine helps out with that. But I just feel like there's way better options for what their comp is trying to do. But here's the Azir answer. Okay, interesting.
100% Congus. Silas, if you need like a consistent AP pick, enemy team is locked in Graves, Jinx, Kha'Zix, a control mage that can just control the zone with like the overall team comp that you have going is really exactly what you want. Like getting into like an Orianna or even like a Syndra or something, if you can get ban coverage for it, is just so good because then the enemy team really has no way to enter into you. The Silas is bad because it introduces the enemy team a little bit more ability to enter into you, but not only that, play into a lane with mid counter pick, right? So now enemy team can get winning mid jungle 2v2, which we said or at least I said, would be key in this game. So that's thing number one that I really dislike about it. But then two, if enemy team just stomps you in mid lane, they can then take the advantage elsewhere and you aren't denying them and you aren't being useful as the game goes on if you get behind. I just really dislike that Silas pick blind 4-5 with not like amazing ultimates. That's so mind-boggling. That's crazy.
So we said again, these are obviously not constructed team games. These aren't rosters playing against each other. These are players in the off season trying to get some practice in, get some reps in, maybe get some highlight plays in. Silas can give you those highlight plays, and maybe it is. Do we just go to the pocket term limit testing? Is this just limit testing Silas and draft here?
There's a lack of any neurons firing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what happens when you just click the random button. You go, sure, that sounds good.
Does anybody actually draft for the players, or is it just?
Looks like no one's in there with them right now.
Yeah. So
this is what happens when players are left to their own devices, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. So to answer your question, actually, sometimes there are coaches drafting in there in for them, but today there aren't. So this was all just player led.
Sure.
Which is again, I don't want to hate on the player. I think CptShrimps can do very good things with the Silas. I think Silas Kiana can be a good 2v2. I still think that is the most optimal place to pick it into. I also think that CptShrimps is a player that has a very unique champion pool, and I think he could have blinded something there that is like unique, that can surprise the enemy team, that would have put his team in a better spot. That's why I was unhappy with the pick. I think Silas is fine. I think he can pilot it well. I just think that there were better champions for him to pick there. So I guess like to at least like explain my thought rather than overreact the way I did. I think that's fair, and I think the Azir was a pretty good response to it because, you know, Azir ulti isn't amazing to steal. Also, there's kind of a weird way to shuffle on Azir. So I'll be curious if Firefighter does that. But
so
we'll have to see.
So then I go now back to Elijah. Same thing that we've done for the last 2 games. General thoughts, what the team compositions are trying to do. Good luck given these comps. But if you had to kind of give your thoughts on who you're favoring coming out of pick ban, what you got to say?
Yeah, so long as blue side doesn't fall behind horribly. Because if they fall behind horribly early, what'll end up happening is their lack of a true front line will end up biting them in the ass, right? So long as they don't fall behind super hard early, they should be able to just fully control any sort of zone they try to go into, whether it's Dragon, Baron, zone people off towers. Realistically speaking, between the Graves and the Azir and the Jinx, they won't have enough range to realistically walk up to any waves, clear anything. I don't even know how the Rakan gets into a fight this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, blue team has a really interesting comp where they're like deceptively long, like they have deceptive longevity. In that, like, you know, Silas can heal a lot in a team fight. He can Zanya's. He can really delay his time in a team fight. Kiana's gonna go Gore Drinker Sterix. She's gonna have a lot of uptime in a team fight. Gangplank is, you know, gonna have his oranges. Depending on the build, he could get, you know, some lifesteal. And then they obviously have a Seraphine Kicker. So they have a lot, like, they're able to last in a fight longer than a team would think they are able to. So it'll be interesting to see how they can manage their zone control while also keeping up in a team fight, having no front line. It'll be very hard, but it'll be very interesting to see how players that are playing together for the first time can, you know, kind of maneuver that. It'll be really cool to watch.
All right, well, that's our coach's thoughts on the matter. Now we're going to send it over to a short break before, again, the caster, Zephyr and Goferino pick it up for Game 3, the final block of the evening between these 2 teams. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to AOE Esports Amateur Arena. We're bringing you the third and final matchup here between Minui versus Prismal. For one final time, I am your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, joined, of course, by the lovely Goferino as my color.
I've been told that 3 times tonight.
Good.
Maybe 3rd time's the charm.
How often do you get told you're lovely, Go?
You usually are charming people, so...
Oh, that's good.
We do have double charms in this game, though, in both supports, which is really weird, because it's like, I think prior to Rakan and Seraphine, the only charm in the game was Ari. But now we got 2 more. Is Seraphine Ultra Charm, actually? I don't know.
I'm not... You know what? I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's a charm, yeah.
I won't be canceled on the twitter.com.
Do you think you would get canceled from something like that? Just miscalling the ultimate not being a charm? Is that enough to ruin your career?
I mean, you've
said plenty of other things tonight, and you think that that is the one. That's the camel's back right there.
I mean, the people in North American Amateur who usually get on you on Twitter if you're a caster, it's usually when you say something really dumb like, well, I think the let's say MF into Jinx matchup is Jinx-sided. As a hypothetical. Then they flame you for that on Twitter. That's usually the way you get flamed for.
Alright. Either way, pulling this one back to the game. Nothing too crazy really started us off. So now we're back into the straight-on 1-to-1 matchups here. Just standard across the board. And there's plenty to discuss. There was plenty put out on the field here by both Elijah and Incon, and the wonderment of both that 4th and 5th pick here coming out from the side of Prismal, notably being that Silas and Seraphine there. And yes, there's no front line. There's still spacing allowed to be created, but they did point out if things go awry here early, it'll be difficult come later.
There definitely is some potential for things to go awry. This is a very squishy bot lane, a very immobile bot lane in the MF Seraphine. Okay, this is not going awry for side at least.
No, Shrimp's doing well, and I would wager out here to expect something like this, but Fire's quick on the return for the poke. But I will say, that's not enough.
It's spotted out, though.
Spotted out, but still finds the root. First blood found. Winner's going to go down in response, so it's still 1 for 1. Fire with his teleport. Gamsu with his as well. Big flash over the wall. That's 1 and 2. Got the slow. Breezy's coming along just as well. I don't believe he's got the grand entrance. Oh, there he does finally. So they secure that one at least to make it 1 and done. But once again, another return. So 2 for 2.
I just heard a random squeal outside my window. I am so... What? This isn't falling behind early. If we look at the gold lead, it is the opposite by technicality. Is it worth, though? Because that is very costly for both sides here. I mean, we saw both teleports blown on the side of Team Minui. You get that 2 for 2. You do give up that first blood, but you respond with some big kills of your own.
So it's not all bad. There's still the major summoners that you can play around for the future here, but terms engage. Ooh, definitely a lot of damage to work with. Not going to be sure. They're at least going to keep pacing the lane.
Yeah, that is the power of the MF Seraphine bot lane here that the analyst test was talking about, Zephyr. Like, they have such insane control. Because the thing is, like, Seraphine E will root you if you're already slowed. That's why the supercast of the E will root you, because it throws out twice, it slows you, then it roots you. However, if you use Misfortune Make It Rain, which is a literal instant cast ability to just use that point and click slow more or less on both enemy bot laners, that sets up for a very easy double root that can set up for some nasty trades. Dragoon, okay.
Big flash, gonna find an easy kill too. Lack of respect there out of Gamsu.
And Trial by Fire is a hell of a drug here with that Gangplank passive. You usually don't normally feel it because the Gangplank will just walk up to you, press that Q, press that parlay, and you're like, oh, that hurts with the Sheen, but this is fine. The Trial by Fire is so much true damage. This is a dive.
I was going to say, trial by fire more than burns here. This time around, Winter not going to go down. Grand entrance knock up. Chad to follow up with the damage, but there's going to be the response with the cannon barrage. Breezyy walks out as well as Chad here. They're looking okay. Wave still crashes, but no, can't find the poke that they quite want. Ooh, you got to be careful there. Big flash, and it is punished.
Winter, you gotta be careful here, buddy. You have very low mana, and there happen to be 2 enemy champions, one of which does have the Ignite to potentially pop you with. Both these teams are playing on the razor's edge here, and a very action-packed first 6 minutes. It continues on, baby.
Oh. Not enough damage there, and maybe they'll get a response back this time around. Finally, Prismal in a great position. There you go. That bait, that low health, that was the bait this time around.
I guess, yeah. Well, Analyst Desk did say so long as Team Prismal does not fall behind early, which they haven't, despite all the excitement, it is slightly favored towards them. I want to see what the big break open will be in this game. These 2 plays in the bot lane, definitely going to be one of those notable events potentially in this game. I want to see the first, like, actual clear win of a fight here. That isn't a 1-for-1, a 2-for-2 that's answered either in lane or across the map.
Oh my gosh.
Rude. There is no ulti on this Jinx. There's a Kha'Zix in River, though, Zephyr, so keep an eye on that.
Could come back around. He is going to be spotted out there by the tribe, but maybe they'll look for Minui, secure that one, make sure that they get at least the one. Winter's going to be the one to pick that one up. Now, Chad, of course, just evens it right back out. So neck for neck here continuously.
Right after my really cool point about, all right, I want to see what the first, like, full-on definitive, like, fight win is.
It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Just give
Gold lead has grown, though, thanks to this farm advantage picked up in the bot lane. I mean, look at Minui's CS. We haven't really been looking at that because of just literally the nonstop action across the rift here, Zephyr, but 8 CS on Jinx, 7.5 minutes in, 0-4 and 3. Like, this Jinx, there's being on the back foot, and then there's, like, one step above that. I don't know, or one step behind that, I sense it.
Yeah, definitely put behind to an absurd degree is something to look at here for Minui, sitting now, what is 11 CS? I mean, that is a crazy amount to be on the end. And it is to give credit towards this lane having so much presence in its own regard. Nothing, though, for the opposite side to ever pick up. I want to paint a picture, though, real quick before hopefully any action comes out here. The carries are in a good position here, I will say, for the side of Prismal, and we talked a lot about the spacing that can come through, but they don't have that front. And notably, Elijah and Incon did set up the fact that watching how the Prismal squad is able to set up these team fights without being punished by, say, something like now Chad sitting 3-0 on this Kha'Zix will definitely be a sight to behold. So that may come through, but for now, it's the bullet time. Heal's going to be expended there for Minui to keep himself alive.
Or Minui, like,
nothing.
Yeah, the dude just can barely catch a wave. There is the GP ulti. There's the supreme display of talent.
Yeah. And it's
gets
not
alive.
Quite the kill. I was about to say, actually expends flash and gets blasted cone out there, so maybe he'll last for that much longer.
Or Chat's coming.
Chad's coming on the back end here to protect this one out and make it a quick one up there. So continuing to bolster his lead here on this Kha'Zix.
What the hell did we just witness, Zephyr? Like,
good timing. Great timing on the blast cone. That's what it was.
Gamsu was, like, by all rights dead there. Somehow gets out and able to technically win out on that. Our first winning trade of the game that isn't immediately answered by a kill across the map. And we saw what happened in game 1 when Chad was able to get this huge early lead. That was on a Lee Sin, able to do these much more riskier engages, but the Kha'Zix able to do fairly risky engages himself, thanks to the potential for resets, thanks to the potential for one-shots against this no frontline enemy composition. Will it pay off, Zephyr? That's what we need to see.
It's crazy because at the end of the day, no matter the composition, the pacing comes directly back to the painted carries that we started off with here at the very beginning of the night. We talk about Chad and Fire, that mid jungle kind of combo, and then this bot lane, Prismal and Winter. And Chad, he's already on the hunt to make it one more here. This wave's going to crash, but I like the response. Rotation up from Winter, there to protect at a given notice.
And you do want all hands on deck to potentially stop any further snowballing from this Kha'Zix, because he's already going to be one-shotting your team for the most part here, unless you happen to buy Zonias.
Well, for now, Kha'Zix coming down. He's actually going to spot out what is CptShrimps over the wall. He is alone here, but more than likely not going to find any kind of kill. Fire here on the other end.
I think it's looking. CptShrimps going
deep, but trust me, he does not have the consistent damage to actually work those kills out in his favor. Sadly, no collateral damage. Was really able to secure that kill out there, but now the rotation from the likes of eXyu and Prismal might just be enough here. Gamsu slowed by that rain. eXyu with the final dash to make sure that he goes down here this time around. Hilariously enough, Chad is still in position, going deep, finds a easy solo kill there onto Shrimps.
the long con game there.
Oh my gosh.
For the eventual 1-for-1. We include the dead Graves that execute. Gonna be denying the gold as well. Of course, taking that major player off the board. That's a okay. Poor.
That's a big engage. That's what it is. And Dragoon's going to be punched as a result. Response, no encore. The turret shot takes Minui low here. We've seen eXyu chase these out before, quite literally just a hot second ago. So one itty bitty dash and that might all be it. And no! Minui does not get over there to the wall, and a supreme display of talent into one dash into Breezyy makes it 2 here for the Kiana.
Oh, God. And try as you may, 9-9 once again. Like, it's the same song and dance over and over. Thankfully, Minui finally able to get his first kill of the game. Still down bad terribly. Like, this is a 12.5-minute Jinx sitting on Zerkers and a pickaxe. Like, that's not where you want to be as a hyper carry this far into the game. Obvious statements aside, Zapper.
Hey, Chad, I was going to say, Chad gives presence still. You know, it's not all said and done there. Yeah, Prismal looks good on this misfortune right now, and now eXyu has got to be a big question on the minds here of Minui's team as well. But still, we've seen the prowess. Fire's looking good. Scaling up here in the mid lane has exuded a great control. You see that massive CS lead, and of course, Chad in the jungle here could be looking for more. Could be looking for this dive here in just a moment.
I'm just always like on a knife's edge here because I feel like I want to make a point, but yeah, a fight just breaks out as I'm trying to make a point. Stolen ulti, but a dead CptShrimp.
Zoo, eXyu's on there in the back and can't quite find that response. So yeah, dive comes through. Wasn't quite the dive, but yeah, double on the 2. And now Gamsu here taking it 1-1 against Dragoon there. Unable. Breezyy, knock up mid. Anyway, but nothing. They've already made their impact, and even with a bolt time, that's not enough.
And Chad just getting a shutdown here on top of that double kill. This is one-fed Kha'Zix. I mean, you said last game, hopefully we don't have any more bugs here. I don't think we have a Kha'Zix on the Rift, but this game we do, and this Kha'Zix is popping off and kind of taking over our spectator feed. There's the cannon barrage. They're looking for something in the top lane.
It's enough to protect Fire, but I don't know for how long. No.
Is it? I mean, it will take a bit of time. There's a Raton coming.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's really time. You just have to work your way finally in. Breezyy there with his own response. The burn, not quite doing the job. Chad, though, want to keep this one running forward there. At least finds the Seraphine, but looking like he may want more, continuing to exude the chase here on to CptShrimps. Reminder, he doesn't have that passive. If they jump up, Supreme Display Talent does find the stun the root. Back in, Shrimps goes, but it's a grand entrance into maybe one or more. Chad's in the bush. They don't have vision, and that's going to be 4 here with the final auto there on to eXyu. Chad is humongous once again.
Chad is the Among Us Big Chungus here on the Rift Zephyr. 10-1-1. That one death being an execute, so that shutdown isn't given up. This man just can't be stopped, it seeming. How are you gonna stop him?
At this point here was the big question, but there's definitely a lot more still on the board there as we do see Dragon pick that one up. But I gotta ask, the major point that was made was you have this lack of a front, you have such a setup, and yeah, it's zoning, but if Chad finds his way in the back, if Chad works into what is your MF, your Kiana major before those team fights break out, there won't be a team fight to have. Your Wombo that you kind of drafted and played out for is nothing, and it's all because we come back to Elijah, much to his disdain, as we did have the opportunity hearing. You don't have a front. You don't have a front to play around.
Oh, okay, there's
Breezyy. There's the big knockup. Fire with his own ult, but into the bullet time. Shield comes through. It's the Mega Wrath Rocket into the back end there, and no kills to be had, but plenty of major ults down.
Looking. This is overextension by Winter with how fed Chad is, by the way. Yep, okay. Just gonna be walking off unknowingly. And nobody dies from that, but we kind of just don't really have any sort of
Just walk over him.
Yeah, the most crazy thing of all is that there's barely been any objectives taken in this game despite all the kills. There's been a couple of towers, there's been that one dragon, there's been that one herald. Okay, make that 2 heralds. CptShrimps, are you going to go for this?
Shrimps does have the hijack with the quickness response. Cannon Barrage is going to slow things down with Dragoon, but this is Chad. He's in your backline. He's on Misfortune. Now he's going deeper. There's that quickness we talked about, and he's going to be punished as a result. Now Gamsu over the wall, maybe to look for more. Minui steps up. You see that zap. They get the flash out of Winter there. They can't quite find the knockup, but they still secure the kill. Now Shrimps, Supreme Display of Talent's going to find the 1 stun, but not prevent the death of more here. And of course, Fire finally walking forward here can easily make this team fight go as clean as can be. Deep over the wall, there's eXyu down. Minui gonna be the one to pick up that kill. Now Dragoon with his own barrel and a bullet to make sure there's at least 1 return here. But at the end of the day, the consequences are given. It's a massive win for the side of Minui.
It is a 2 for 4. Granted, one of those kills was onto Chad. That was such a huge shutdown that potentially technically made it a even fight with just how much gold that 1 kill was worth. It was a max value shutdown, which is typically worth a little over 2 kills itself, and shutdown bounty alone. Gamsu's looking, but oh wait, here comes Chad Zephyr. I think
just hold the thought. Chad's on the back end, works his way forward. There's the exhaust, but does that matter? Does that matter when you're 11-2? Not quite.
Yeah. Especially when you're able to just pop the unseen predator as the Kha'Zix and just kind of take the invisibility chill pill to wait that one on out.
I have to say, this is probably like the worst case scenario here, because you already have the presence of Azir Jinx scaling, and while they were put behind, which is, you know, the good thing that you want to do, well, more notably the Jinx, the Firefire's been on top of his game here. Look at that major lead. But to also have the early kind of fall out of action, as even as it was, most of that gold assumed onto Chad, and we see what happens. You put gold on Chad, he walks around the map and spreads it, and you've seen that lead continue to bolster as the game goes on.
And there's also, like, really next to no reliable ways to stop Chad once he jumps in here from the side of Team Prismal, outside of Winter dropping the Encore into maybe potentially an exhaust to really follow that up, because I'm assuming this is Supreme Display of Talent from eXyu will probably be used in the earlier stages of the fight to try and catch off the rest of Team Minui. And it's just so rough, because this is now a 3-item Kha'Zix. We're not even 20 minutes in. There isn't even a Baron on the board, but
God.
This man is sitting on 3 items while, I mean, just look at CptShrimps. He hasn't finished his mythic. Like, that was such a differential, such a gap here. And you are going to be feeling that as they have been feeling it throughout the entirety of this game, it feels, Zephyr.
Right, and if you're Chad, maybe you find the one, you see the wombos are set up on the wall, but they can't even find that combo there. So now that window's down as this turret crashes here. So even if you're Chad, I was about to say, you can pick off the one, kind of break up that ultimate, and then guess what? You still have to deal with the likes of Fire and eventually Minui as well here.
Yeah, although the analyst did point out that... Wait, eXyu does have the invisibility, does miss that supreme display of talent. Had that landed, that might have been a very big pickup. Going back to the analyst desk points though, however, Zephyr, that the Jinx and Azir might technically have some issues doing their full effect, their full damage in team fights here, if the massive zone control is able to come out here from Team Prismal. We'll have to see that because there is the bug that we kind of have been highlighting here left and right.
I was about to say, the consequence to that is if Chad gets in and disrupts any kind of positioning control you have to set up these fights before you get to really enact that zone there, right? If he's deep in your back, a bullet time gone from Misfortune, suddenly you don't have that zone control. And with them having free scaling available, that's enough. But for now, it is a good route. Chad to keep working his forward. There is a teleport, and he could be pinched out here. Fire to step up with his own poke as CptShrimps goes deep. There's going to be the one quickness into the double route with the Everfrost to find the two. That's going to be three as they keep the fight rolling here. Finally, something works out for the side of Prismal.
And I believe Chad has the Leap Evolved second here. Yep, does have the Leap Evolved secondly here. Able to have these resets, and they're going for the Baron. This is risky, because if Chad, who does have that unseen threat available just a few seconds, or the Void Assault. The Void Assault ultimate goes over the ball, is spotted out. Great combo. That's a big pickup, Zephyr. This should potentially blow open this Baron.
Just walked in. No, the Baron at this point, I don't think is easily going to go anyone's ways. Gamsu, of course, doing a great job to pressure this one off, but another teleport now coming out. This time, it's Dragoon, and Gamsu knows he's in for a treat, so he maybe tries to find a little bit of the clear. Dash back, a little bit of armor. There's Breezyy deep, but he's charmed out as a result and going to go down here. Gamsu, though, at least walks away. Yeah, 5 fire. Oh, look at the damage there from Prismal. More than caught out. He's already done.
And just like that, Zephyr, this game has completely flipped over. It's dead even. Both how many members are dead here on the side of Tin Minui? This Baron that is being taken right now could potentially just blow open the game. We'll have to see if it's taken fast enough, because Chad is back.
Chad's coming.
Void Assault has the jump
over the wall. There's the steal. Finds the kill there. He's gonna go down, but Minui's over the wall. Big flash back into the bush, and he does go down, but there's Gamsu still in your backline and right up against the wall where you want them. Over the wall, one quick dash, a few autos to bring what is down. Yeah, it's a cannon barrage, but it's not going to stop the presence of this roster. Prismal's able to walk out alive, but that's such a huge loss in the face of the consistent success that we saw.
And that was such a big pickup, too, for the side of Team Prismal. It looked like it was so well for them, but they're not able to take down that Baron fast enough. There's still Gamsu as the Super Drain tank grabs, who's now 6-3-2, a threat in his own right. And this might just flip back the game, because the gold lead that was completely dead even has swung back a noticeable gold lead in the favor of Team Minui here as Zephyr. They're now going to be sitting on Soul Point. Never mind that.
5 fire is gone. Breezyy was with the setup, and
here comes Chad.
There's Dragon. Yeah, Chad is available, and he's straight on to eXyu. Doesn't quite find the kill, and of course the stream display doesn't go down, but Super Mega Death Rock is going to make those kills come through much, much nicer. Now, yeah, you still lose the drag out, but at least you pick up the tune response for the play.
Technically, that is a 2-for-2 and you grab the dragon while behind. And those 2 kills take off more and more of these Barons. There's only going to be a very limited amount of this Purple Worm buff here for the side of Team Minui, Zephyr, to really make use of. and they're not really going to get the full usage.
No, they're not going to. I was about to say, I don't feel like there's going to be a time period where they do have the opportunity to make good usage of that buff, just given the pacing here, playing around that dragon into losing.
Is still the Baron buff on Gamsu here, who might be able to like pressure a tier 2 with it. That's like the extent of it, but yeah.
He's going in that jungle there. He's got to be careful. He can easily be spotted out. Yeah, Shrimps is over the wall. Chain does not land. At least he gets the stun back on his own end. Winter going to slow this one out here. Back into his own wall. Encore down. Chad to secure the 1 kill. But a good quickness into now the bullet time. Looks a bit scary. Minui's on the back end. And Chad, of course, going to go down, bringing us to our 2 for 2.
Zephyr, remember how earlier this game we were talking about how it's just back and forth, kill for kill?
It is.
These previous 2 fights have been that just again, except there's much more larger objectives, much larger bounties on the table here. And we witnessed a Baron takedown, we witnessed a Dragon steal, and at the end of all of that, it kind of feels like we're back at square one almost. Might be not quite so if Fire and Breezyy want to engage on this.
At this point, Emperor's Divide, CptShrimps doing a great job to dodge that one out and into the Wombo combo. Makes for quick work there for eXyu. Picks up that double, and finally, at least we're seeing this win condition come alive there. Maybe a little bit too big for their britches here and holding control for most of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I like the thought of it. Breezyy was hanging there on the side. They're like, all right. There's going to be someone that tries to answer Fire split pushing. I'll pop over the wall, we'll get a kill, we dip out, we feel fine and dandy. But then your 2 versus 1 becomes a 3 versus 2 against you, and you're like, well, that's just how the cookie crumbles here, and it's a dead even game. And I really want to hear the analyst desk's take on this, even though we won't really be throwing it to them for an analysis of the game.
No, they'll be back at the end of this.
Okay, I thought we went directly into interview. Either way, though, like, I want to hear how they make sense of this game, because they said as long as Team Prismal doesn't fall behind super bad in the early game, they should be able to win this on paper in theory. It's 27 minutes in, Zephyr. They haven't fallen behind super hard, but this is also 27.5 minutes into the game. Did we really see it coming out like this? I don't think anybody did. Okay, Supreme Display of Talent missing for once.
Is a choice here on both ends of the margin. So at the end of the day, a bit of a wipe. We have seen full, let me put this correctly, the win condition that is that kind of wombo. And we talk about the full combination. You get the Winter, you get that Encore, Supreme Display, bullet time. Huge, and has finally kind of within the last 10 minutes started to organize itself here, which that in itself can be a question in terms of execution, given that these are all individual players here. And that has been something that has continued to provide and keep what is Prismal in the game here. But at the end of the day, there is still that distant disadvantage, but the scaling plays into the favor there of that Jinx and Azir at any given point there. And Chad has been a disruptor, but it is slowly starting to fall off. I don't want to weigh it slightly towards Prismal, but as the game goes on longer, it kind of gets harder.
There's a flash.
There it is. There it is.
Oh,
that's exactly what it is. That's the wombo. That's the lockdown. That's the 3 kills to continue the Prismal lead.
Okay, what can Chad do? Because that just kind of goes
nothing.
To show.
That's it. Chad's low. Chad's gonna walk out. At least Gamsu's gonna be pick up something on the tier 2 here, but he's just gotta run. He's just gotta go.
Oh god, these 2 against the world.
Well, not for long here. I like the collateral, but a steal in his own regard's gonna make it tough. Dragoon steps up, and Chad, while he has damage, it doesn't work out anymore without that passive playing. And so 2 off the board, and an easy walk towards that Baron now.
And Lincoln, you'll miss it. That is the type of fight we're experiencing now with this insane wombo combo. I really want to give a shout out here to Prismal's Salvia's, I don't know, the grudge item. Never mind that. There's more action. Dragoon in danger. Dragoon dead.
it's a riskier move to go for, and it's going to stack towards that soul point. But at the end of the day, the setup in these team fights is still something that you have to contest against constantly. So yeah, you drop one, but it's fine.
And there are going to be 4 Baron buffs on the map here. First turret already taken. Of course, it is an outer turret. 30 minutes into the game. It's not the biggest deal. It's just a bit of pocket change for the enemy team, a little bit of extra map control. Whatever. There's bigger things to worry about. I want to see what the real damage is going to be with this conceded Baron push effort here, Zephyr, because you will be able to make almost full use of the Baron. You have this insane wombo if you all pile into one lane. Or the issue of the matter there, that might just be the straw that breaks Team Minui's back here. If you have to deal with the Baron trip, if you have to deal with the explosive wombo combo that might just blow you up in a fraction of a second, honestly.
Oh, well, we've seen the fraction of the section come through now, and officially, actually, the full-blown blast of it actually there in those last 2 minutes or so here. So it's tough. It is tough to step up at any given point here if you're Team Minui. So now waves, can you crash? That pass is going to burn out here, and they're going to keep forcing these Baron minions forward here. And there's not many opportunities to look for picks here, especially if you're, say, someone like Chad.
That is one thing here about Team Minui. They don't really have the strongest way to force fights here, because your hardest engage is going to be Breezyy and maybe Fire with a potential flank CptShrimps shuffle. But those aren't really the best ways to force fights. And that might be an issue here when it comes to the zone control analyst desk was talking about that we have seen with the AoE wombo combos like this, even though that's just a...
Okay, those are some big ultimates to lose out on for no kills there. And yeah, you'll find the one turret, but if there was ever a time to pull the trigger, now would be it.
How are they going to pull the trigger, though? You're going to have to base here. It's really going to be up to Breezyy, I feel. Fire just way too far behind, does not have a Zonius for a super cocky CptShrimps shuffle 1v5 save the world type of deal here, Zephyr.
Are down. This is the time to go in. If you want to find anything, this is when you make your move, because that combo is what's really stunting them. So now Fire pulls the trigger, finds eXyu there. That's going to be the resurrection, but the whole team is already set up, ready to go there. Chad, like you said, in that backline, unable to find what he needs, but he does secure that additional kill. So now Gamsu steps up, one quick auto, a zap to slow. That's going to be 3 here to close out that one fight. That's going to also be that flash pulled out of Prismal there. So it just shows how crucial those windows are to making this composition work.
And Chad just able to freely go in on top of Prismal, on top of Winter, have his way, and decimate that backline there. That Baron buff, all it results in is 2 turrets, and once again, Zephyr, call this deja vu. Even in gold, even in kills. The only real difference is going to be a couple of dragon buffs, which, let's give the soul point here to Team Minui. That could be spawning in a minute 30. But it feels like it's potentially anyone's game here.
I will say this. Treat that fight with a little bit more pacing here from the side of Prismal. It was completely different. I think, especially watching what was that initial take on the bull time into kind of the encore, not really finding what it wanted, was a huge miss. So now, finally, that's how you work it out. Big encore, big supreme display talent, damage on the board here, and now Dragon with 1 minute to go, not much you can do.
Those are big ultimates, though, and it is just for the support. Yes, it is the main engage from the enemy team, but you did spend the encore. You did spend one of your major zoning abilities. Actually, is down for the count here. That's 1 for 1, Zephyr.
They could find maybe more, though. CptShrimps is in. He's got the hijack there, and they get the shutdown at least in response. So still wrapping this one up.
There's a
CptShrimps is on the back there. Chad is available here on this Dragon, but he's not going to be able to take the one. He's going to try to find Winter if he can, but the shield, no! It's not enough to protect him. Either way, Chad still working his way forward onto Prismal, isn't able to find it to bring it to 1-1.
CptShrimps looking for this. The flash beams on the abduct.
Flash for flash there. Could tie this one back. Breezyy with the great quickness. That quickness secures the deal there and secures what is the kill on to Minui now. So Dragon setup finally in favor here of the side. Oh, that's a big bullet time there, but it is going to... No!
Triple.
He finds the triple. He finds it in the face of the knockup.
They can grab this dragon here. Yeah, okay. Prismal is thankfully life stealing on up. That is.
Oh, he's good. He's great. He's fine.
There's just so much action here. Like, a kill per minute is usually what us casters use as like the very simple action-based metric. If there's at least a kill per minute, you say this has been a very exciting action-packed game so far. There's been over a kill per minute for both sides here, Zephyr, which means over double the excitement if we're going by the very literal definition of that metric. That aside though, like, we're getting to the uber late game at this point. Multiple Barons, the potential for both teams to have that sole point, and these almost minute-long death timers. This is where, like, your grit as a League of Legends player can really shine. Gamsu picks up one. There's a 50-50 no.
Not a 50-50 to be had. They do take the Baron clean, but it is at the loss there of Winter.
But
They still,
you'll take that.
let's say, put the priority still down.
It's not like you're going to have to worry about Ocean Soul here. Oh, Gamsu's looking.
Oh no, Gamsu, they find that initial pick onto Shrimps. Maybe they'll look for more here. Chad steps up, but a good cannon barrage is going to slow the front of his attack here. Either way, Wave continues to crash, and no, that is not a sense. They get at least the Wave on that back end, but that's a big ult down, and knowing that isn't in your face gives them the full go button to chase this one out.
Too. They're spotted out by the blue ward. They do at least have the blast cone to get on over that wall. You do have the Baron powered recall. It's gonna be stopped if they were going for that 3 versus 5 Zephyr. This is a hard sell.
No. Big knock-up Dragoon flash there. The missiles are landing. Chad secures the one on Dragoon in the back, and they turn their attention on the revive for eXyu. Now it's a quick pull trigger to look for what is Prismal as well. He's gonna find the one at least on the 5-fire, but that is 3 crucial members down here. And I don't know. Maybe they could easily walk this down. This could be it.
It could be. There are 2 enemy members on the board. There is an encore. There is a little bit of wave clear. There is
great encore.
Call this one out.
But that's not enough. A good encore, if with combined in this composition, would have been fantastic.
One or 2 maybe.
But it's far too late. It's far too late there.
Is that enough? 16, 15, 14 till Dragoon's back up.
I don't think Dragoon 15 seconds is enough. Far from it. It's done.
This is gonna be game.
And after,
what did we just witness?
I was about to say, after one of the messiest, most extremely paced games I have ever seen, it is Team Minui coming out on top.
There's just so much to digest during that game, like, because we saw Chad just pop off so hard early on, like 12-1, 14-1 at some point, over half his team kills. It looked like Team Minui was on top of the board. Then it looked like Team Prismal was on top of the board. Their zone control coming out, able to just slow and control these zones. But that's not the case because in the end, kind of anticlimactically enough, Zephyr, it's just that one fight into another, into stopping the Baron, into just those super long death timers allowing you to crack open a cold one with the boys in the enemy base and take home your second win for the night.
It's definitely a sight to behold there. They took advantage of the split tempo, the fact that those windows had to collapse in such a timing, and they were able to capitalize on it, send it forward, and finally bring us back to a victory. But it wasn't clean. In any sense of the matter there, you saw what was a hard to digest fight through and through time and time again as Chad continued to fall off, and most of these members really didn't have that much space to take into this damage. It just wasn't. Either way, We're going to throw this back to the desk one last time, as they themselves will also give just as much of a read here on this third and final game as we have. Kangas, take it away.
Thank you, Zephyr. I can hear the tilt in your voice, and I think that's pretty reflected on the desk. What a game! What a game 3, everybody.
That was in fact a game of League of Legends. It was crazy.
I think that's the only way to describe it. Elijah, where should we start? Do you have somewhere that you'd like to hold it on first? Because at this point, I mean, we're just going to kind of take this post-game analyst desk about the same seriousness that the players took that game too.
It was fun. I had fun watching it. It was enjoyable.
I'm sure the players had a lot of fun too.
The players had a blast. I can see it on their player cams that were non-existent. No. Overall, it was just really back and forth, really whatever. I feel like most people were mostly just playing for their own highlight reels, I guess.
Yeah.
It
was game 3 of the block. I think that it's understandable that one got a little more loose. Frickin' man, we going 0-4 in the first 7 minutes, but still stabilizing Shad and Gamsu, just keeping them in it for so long. And even multiple times that everyone would get picked, but it's just either Chad just picks up a couple kills to equalize it, or Gamsu's doing something in the side lane and they can actually still clutch it out. And it still was close. It was just back and forth the entire time. So inconspicuous, I guess, kind of thoughts, because this is the final wrap-up segment before we get an actual interview with one of the players, which is probably what a lot of people in Twitch chat are sticking around for. That's the real content right there. So final thoughts on this game 3, but most importantly, just the game overall. Kind of who are the standout performers on the day? Because there were a lot of cool plays that happened still.
Yeah. I want to do my best here to try and highlight players and things that I was happy and walked away with. I really want to highlight Blue Team's early game bot lane performance. So that'd be Prismal and Winter, I believe, correct? They properly took the MF Seraphine and punished the Rakan Jinx, how we thought they would. They did leave early lane with a massive CS lead, massive level lead, massive gold lead. Obviously their counterpart, Minui, he saved his mental, didn't get too far behind. His team helped him gulag the game, and he ended up being a part of the win. So I think that's the takeaway is Minui has really good mental. Maybe he's not the best in the early lane, but again, that can all be improved. To counteract that, right? Dragoon did a very good job in lane on the gangplank into the Graves. He was uncomfortable champion. He performed really well in that lane. He got a solo kill followed by I think another solo kill even. But he had amazing global map presence. In the mid lane, you had CptShrimps, who's solo killed Fivefire. Then Fivefire comes back the next game and ends up solo killing CptShrimps. So each player had their own moments, I think, in this series that they can walk away with and be happy with. And I think it's really important to. I think I said this last week, but it's really important to highlight what you did well, recognize what you did poorly, and just try and improve on that. So I really hope that's what the players end up taking away from this. So
sure. Yeah, I think that Minui was a player that was really fun to watch on the night, just because not just the development of this player, but who they were up against, Prismal. And not, I mean, that last game was pretty rough for the first couple of minutes, but still, like you said, knowing, okay, what position am I in now in this current game state, and then how do I kind of change the game plan going forward? Cool to see players do that. Elijah, same question to you, essentially. Who are the stand-up performers for you on the night? Some of the cooler plays that you noticed?
I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Incon really did a good job of kind of wrapping the whole segment up. He's pretty much correct across the board. Dragoon off on champions he's actually comfortable on. Very good GP. What happened bot lane. So overall, I'm really happy with that. Really happy with all of it.
Yeah. All right. Also, the junglers interacted great with their mid laners. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. But junglers were obviously super important in that game 3, right? Chad had an amazing performance on the Kazakhs, getting a massive lead. And then the Kiana set up a lot of fights for her team to try and win. To name my name, eXyu. Sorry, eXyu. Yep. Performed on the Kiana and set up a lot of team fights for his team to win from back foot position. So that was really good too. So yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to at least make sure.
No, I like that. Yeah, throw it in. I got one more question for each of you before we are ready for the interview. So Elijah, I'm going to give this one back to you. I'm going to give you a draft. You got to draft one player from tonight's performance. Who you draft into an academy team?
Winter.
Winter. All right. Is it based on tonight's performance or just based on him as a player?
It's a crime that hasn't happened already.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a really good answer.
Incon, same with you.
So he took Winter from me. You don't want to pick an AD. I'd probably go with Chad Jungle. I think he showed a jungle pool that was unique, that was open to experimentation, which I think is super big. I think he showed that he can play around his mid laner very well, but he can also find ways to play around other lanes. I mean, eXyu also played well, so I think either of those junglers is interchangeable, and I think a team would do well moving forward with either of those junglers. So,
but let's be honest, even though it was a crazy game 3, like you said, it was the Gulag game, basically, Chad Jungle is what kept them in that game. Like, his performance is what let them win at the end. So, all right, cool. I like those picks. Well, I don't know who our interview is, actually, but we're going to be sending it. Breezyy. Okay, cool. We got Breezyy for the interview, so we'll get to hear from him. What happened in that game 3, but also just more importantly, kind of the entire day itself. So we're going to send it over to the casters and Breezyy. That's it for us on the desk. So hopefully I get to hang out with you guys again, some other desk. I can hop in on more of these during the off season. Thanks AOE for putting them on. But let's hear from Breezyy and the casters.
Well, plenty of love there on the desk, of course, for all these players. But let me tell you, none there for you, Breezyy. Didn't get quite drafted by either Inconspicuous or what was Elijah there. Trust me, in my hearts to behold, I would take you on any team for Academy. But I want to tell you, tonight was a whirl through and through from Team Winme's initial win there in Game 1 to the loss and 2 to the 3, which was the Gulag, as they expressed. It has been quite the tornado here. So before we even get started on that, we're going to do some housekeeping because these are the big questions that were provided before we actually worked our way into this interview. So just real quick, who is the shot caller? Who did those drafts you came into there in those games? But let's start shot caller.
I don't know. It was kind of split across everybody. Everyone was doing decent amount of talking. I don't know. Minui did our draft maybe because it was Team Minui, but it was pretty evenly shared comms, honestly. Yeah, I felt like we were on the same page. I was kind of surprised. Not a lot of disagreements. It was good. It was good.
And so I wanted to ask a more specific to you question here,
Sure.
Breezyy, just so you could show like your thought process to any potential scouts in the chat watching. Because you said so yourself when I asked you, like, this does not look like a good game to be the sole engage as a recon for. And you said so yourself, yeah, it's been up and down. So like, I guess explain your basic thought process through this game, what your game plan was as this recon, what you wanted to accomplish, and how you kind of wanted to fit into this composition for Team Minui.
Well, Game 2 and Game 3, we probably had some illegal blind pick spotlight in the draft, so the game was rough, and we knew that going in. So as Jinx Recon versus MF Seraphine, we know it's going to be rough. Told our jungler to path away. We didn't think we were diveable, which I guess we weren't really. They traded, and then we had the boys and punished them for it. But basically, we're just playing weak side, and then team fights. I have my 4 hyper carries. Both teams kind of had 4 carries, so the game was everyone wants gold, so the game's gonna be pretty accelerated. Or both teams wanted to accelerate. And team fights, just made sure to keep track of their flashes, and then try to hit MF and Seraphine in the backline with like invisible Kha'Zix, I guess, is our best engage. Because usually Recon wants to follow up on like backline divers, but no one on our team really wants to dive backline. So I was kind of just waiting for Azir and Kha'Zix to go in, and then I follow up on them, and we focus down on target. But it's definitely a rough game in the bot lane for our champions. But got the dub, it worked out.
I was about to say, it still worked out at the end.
Yeah, it worked out.
Through.
But just had the game on hard mode a little bit.
Put it on hard mode. I mean, you said yourself, as you know, before we got in this, there was a moment where you thought, "Oh, we got this one in the bag," especially coming off of Chad's absurd lead into the loss.
There was a couple.
Yeah, there was a couple.
Both teams did a bit of throwing for sure, but it was good.
Well, a bit of throwing is definitely an undershot in terms of what I would describe some of those fights there. But you said you wrapped around. Are you happy with the performance that you had though, at least in that game?
Yeah, it was okay. It was fun. And I think we did okay. And it was kind of hard to shine in that game because of the bot lane matchup, but I think I helped my carries play well.
Well, okay.
Truth being able to make your way through it. That is one way to shine out to anyone potentially watching in the audience.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about, good games, we can pull it back towards those first initial ones you had. Now, the original Game 1 here, Chad Jungle, of course, on that Lee Sin being the big setup, but there was a lot of great success there, especially through your Lulu being the kind of provider, the sole, I would say, savior here for most of those fights there. So if there's any regard in terms of something of a highlight for anyone who was watching, check out that game one, because that was the Breezyy show there, especially in those tight-knit moments.
Lulu highlights, Pog.
Yeah, Lulu highlights. Gotta get those in.
Yeah.
And I guess, are you going, Zephyr?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The last question I have on my mind for you, Breezyy, is just like, this is like one of the most generalistic interview questions, but like, what were your thoughts on tonight? What do you think you probably took home from this? Because ultimately, I know a lot of the people organizing this and a lot of the players in this are wanting to like grow as like players from this. And I was just wondering, what is your takeaway from this? What maybe you learned, or maybe you wish you had learned tonight?
Honestly, I like playing these a lot because I like learning how other players in solo queue or other amateur academy players like think or how they play the game. So I'm learning a lot in the game, but I'm also learning a lot about how players themselves are and how they think and how their comms are, and it's just fun, and it's kind of a good just meet new people and learn how they play and get along. I don't know, it's good.
Great.
Yeah, not I don't know. We're also learning some bot matchups, I guess. I don't think I've ever played these two bot matchups in probably over a year. So get some bot lane matchup knowledge and yeah. So meta's changing a bit, which is kind of fun. A lot of enchanters in the meta now. It's pretty fun.
Well, either way, once again, great to see you here, of course, here on the amateur arena. This is the several weeks in a row that you have participated, and hopefully it is an experience that continues to provide here for you. But is there anything else that stands out before you walk you away? Maybe some shouts you want to give towards tonight's broadcast or the players you had the opportunity of learning to love?
Yeah, sure. Just shout out to my whole team, but my whole team, and Minui. We had some rough matchups, but strong mental. He stood in there, did his job, and Chad Jungle also smurfed. So easy to play jungle support when you have a winning jungle.
All right. Well, thank you, Breezyy, once again for joining us here on the interview desk. As for us, though, we're going to finally wrap this one up between me and Go for Reno here. I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to participate, of course, in the amateur arena, from the players, the production, the staff, the viewers, everybody who comes and shows that AoE support. We couldn't thank you more here. As for us, though, that's going to be our final sign-off. That is me, your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, joined, of course, by the lovely color Go for Reno, as we take you out one last time.